Please, rain, stay away for game number 2. Showers in the forecast, so's Ken Rosenthal. First up, down on the field.
Joe, Miguel Montero has caught each of Jake Arrieta's last 4 starts, but tonight Joe Maddon is going with the rookie Wilson Contreras, even though Arrieta has better numbers and greater comfort with Montero. The main reason for this? To shut down Cleveland's running game. Contreras is a much better thrower than Montero, and his bat is so good, the Cubs plan to start him the next 2 games at catcher as well. Now over to Tom Verducci.
Thanks, Ken. Well, you know, the last time we saw Trevor Bauer, he was dripping blood on the mound from a wound on his pinky. Since then, he has treated it with a skin adhesive and used gauze while pitching in a simulated game on Monday. Neither remedy is allowed tonight by rule. So will it hold up? Well, Terry Francona, the manager, said he thinks he's fine, but added this disclaimer: I thought that last time. Joe?
That's the bandage during the pregame. He can't use that in game, but you can see that finger. It took 10 stitches, and they have all kinds of glue on top of it trying to hold it together. That was 9 days ago when his finger split back open, and he only threw 21 pitches. Here are his numbers this postseason. Has yet to go 5 in a start. Away we go in game 2. Fowler takes the ball.
Well, the first inning hasn't been very kind to Trevor Bauer. It's his worst inning. Walks, most runs, most homers, and a high ERA. So if he gets through the first inning sharp, the Indians feel like he gets better as the game goes on, and so does his curveball. For the Cubs, they need to get Fowler going and get him on base.
A ball and a strike from Bauer.
What you saw last night from Kluber, you will see if Bauer is on with his 2-seam fastball. A lot of called strikes. Big arcing curveball.
Broken bat. Bauer. 1 away. Well, you know, Dexter Fowler's in the leadoff spot. He's been there all postseason. That's what he does for Joe Maddon. Now it's Chris Bryant with Anthony Rizzo in the on-deck circle. The middle 3 of this order for the Cubs. Ben Zobrist, Kyle Schwarber is back. Last night rocked a double off the wall. Javier Baez hits in the number 6 spot. 7, 8, and 9. Wilson Contreras, Jorge Soler, and Addison Russell. Against a guy who was the 3rd overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2011. Traded to Cleveland December of 2012. Went 12 and 8 this year to Trevor Bauer. Here's Chris Bryant. Took a ball and now another.
Well, early on, the curveball command is never where he wants it to be, but as the game goes on, he gets a better feel for that pitch. Tonight's weather, crisp, a little cold. See how he commands that pitch as the game goes on.
2-1. Indians have thrown 4 shutouts this postseason. 2-2.
That's the pitch that's going to give the Cubs some problems. It's the high fastball. We talked about Kluber pitching off your fastball, throwing the slider curveball combination. Well, Bauer wants the ball up to give his curveball better effect. He'll throw a high curveball, a 12-6 break. Basically, if you look at the hands of a clock, you'll see what that curveball is doing. And the Cubs cannot afford to expand the strike zone with either of those pitches.
2-2. That is into right for a base hit. And Chris Bryant has his first World Series hit. And now the Lincoln Motor Company keys to the game.
Well, command the strike zone, and I'm not talking about Arrieta. I'm talking about the offense of the Cubs, meaning get Bauer in the strike zone. You're a much better ball club if you don't expand the strike zone, which they have done. 15 strikeouts last night. And then for Cleveland, broken record. Why break? Why do anything? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think the one thing they got to do is get the lead, get on base, steal bases. Everything they've done to this point, don't change.
Anthony Rizzo now. 1 on, 1 out. Strike 1. Trevor Bauer started the season in the bullpen, his first 6 appearances, then went to the rotation in May. Struggled a bit down the stretch. His last 7 starts, an ERA just under 7. But A decent start in Game 1 of the division series against the Red Sox. 21 pitches in Game 3 against Toronto. Couldn't continue because of the injury. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, he has an unusual delivery. He's modified it a little bit, but when you watch him pitch out of the stretch, there's no arm swing. It's a short arm, kind of throwing from the hip shot put look. And when he throws that pitch uphill, the curveball, that's where he gets the tremendous breakdown. He also shot puts his fastball, so it creates a different angle. That's why up in the zone is better for him, especially if the team swings at him.
Strike 2. For coverage of this game in Spanish, please tune to Fox Deportes. Last night, the top 3 hitters in the lineup for Joe Maddon and the Cubs went 0 for 11 with 4 strikeouts. 3 pop-ups to the catcher. Bryant is on here in the first inning. Zobrist on deck, and Rizzo at the plate with a 1-2 count.
That's the height right there. Big difference between Kluber. Kluber had the movement and the freeze pitch to left-handers, but he was lower in the zone. The way that Bauer delivers the ball, that's more comfortable for a fastball. So he can change the eyes of the hitter with his fastball and then his curveball. Anything to make a hitter just buckle a little bit. That's why his curveball at 74 miles an hour and his fastball at 96 has great variance between it.
Defensively, Cleveland has Coco Crisp in left. Naquin in center and Chisenhall in right. Ramirez, Lindor, Kipnis, Napoli around the infield. The catcher is Roberto Perez, the hitting star last night, as he hit 2 home runs and knocked in 4. Still a 1-2 count on Rizzo. That's down into the right field corner. It'll get down, hit the wall. Bryant will dig for third. They're going to bring it. The throw mishandled. 1-0 Chicago.
Well, he tries to go in and watch the ball tail back, and he was ready. Rizzo was ready. And I thought this was an interesting relay system right here. Once the ball gets here, you're supposed to throw it to right there. Kipnis, he throws it to second. That allows the runner to easily go home. Aggressive approach in the first inning by the Cubs. I thought with the bases loaded, first and second, when they got the hit, it was passive, aggressive. They got the lead. Starts out. This relay has to go to Kipnis. He goes to second.
And just piecing it together live, it looked like they had a chance at Bryant if Kipnis is hit with the throw, but instead Chisenhall threw to the bag, not to the cutoff man. And Bryant scored easily. Now Zobrist takes the ball.
Well, when you're struggling to score, I love the aggressiveness early. And that's why even last night, first and second, and Baez gets the hit, I thought they would be aggressive there, even with no outs. But they chose to take a base at a time, and then we know what happens. They didn't get anything out of that inning. Miller worked his way out of the jam.
Chisenhall, a third baseman, still learning the outfield. Here's a 1-0 upstairs from Bauer, and here's a first inning run for the Cubs against Trevor Bauer in an inning that usually gives him fits.
Yeah, he has struggled all year. I don't know if it's mainly because of his preparation. He's cut down the time it takes him to get ready for a game. Maybe later in the game we can show you some of that package of what it takes for Trevor Bauer to get ready for an actual start. It's quite mind-boggling. But his first inning has definitely given him fits.
Here's a 2-0 to Zobrist. That zips in there at 94, 2-1.
The other thing I thought the Cubs would try to exploit is first pitch swinging on fastballs. They are a patient team. They don't really like to be aggressive on the first pitch other than a select few guys. But Bauer's given up a really high average on first pitch fastballs or first pitch anything.
2-1. Chased it 2-2.
Here's the changeup, floats up.
Saw that note on Zobrist, the first player to have 3 or more hits in Game 1 of the World Series in back-to-back years. Last year, Zobrist had 3 hits, batting in the number 2 spot for Kansas City, and it took until the 14th inning for him to get his 3rd hit, a game the Royals won over the Mets 5-4. Ruth in the 20s, Zobrist 2015-16. The 2-2. Spoils it on a pitch that was up around the letters on his jersey.
Well, Bauer, if he makes a good curveball pitch against Zobrist, that gives him fits. He likes velocity. He likes the ball like every left-handed hitter in a certain area mid-thigh. He went with the changeup and then followed it with a fastball. See if he changes the eye level with the curveball on this 2-2 pitch.
Foul by Zobrist.
That curveball still, as the game goes on, will get more bite and be closer. That one's staying up, so the feel for it's still not where he wants it.
Chris Guccione is the home plate umpire tonight. Joined by the crew chief, John Hirschbeck. Marvin Hudson at second base. Tony Randazzo is at third. Joe West down the left field line, and Larry Vanover in right. Another 2-2. Another foul ball.
Find it interesting in this postseason alone, maybe just because I'm paying attention, but the evolution of the game has changed. We see velocity going up, average miles per hour up, fastballs in a 97 like we've never seen it, but now fastball curveball combinations are becoming more popular. That's how you change and get the hitter off of that timed fastball, by throwing a slower curveball. The vertical break with the height of the fastball makes it virtually impossible for a hitter to stay locked in on it.
That's driven down the line, hooked, foul. And a good battle here between Zobrist and Bauer. This will be 10 pitches at least in this at bat. The good news for the Indians is the pinky and the sutures are holding for Trevor Bauer, who, as we mentioned, lasted only 21 pitches in that Game 3 ALCS start in Toronto.
You know, it's interesting the time that it took to make that decision. I wonder if that ever messes with a hitter to forget the location. But he slowed him down with a curveball. When you slow him down, even though it wasn't a good one, he fouled it off. Typically, you want to come right back with your best heater.
That's into left field. Crisp. Staggers, gets to it. 2 out. And Rizzo holds it second. The batter will be Schwarber, who we had a chance to visit with before tonight's game. First round pick a couple of seasons ago out of Indiana, shot through the minor leagues to the big leagues, hit 5 home runs last year during the playoffs. Almost rode one out of here last night in his second at bat, hit a double off the wall and right. And he said he felt totally normal at the plate, which is incredible for somebody who had 5 plate appearances all year back in early April. Good swing, strike one.
Yeah, we talked to him and he was impressive talking to us. I shake my head. I've never seen something like this in my career. Yet alone, I could maybe Maybe if he had 5 years, 10 years under his belt, but he doesn't even have a year. To do this at the biggest stage, credit him for his work and credit the Cubs for having the guts to do it.
The good thing for him, as he talked about, is with the weather, 43 at the start of the night, because he's the DH. And the rest of the guys in the lineup are out in the field. He's got the sweatshirt on. He's on the exercise bike. He's staying warm. Working in the cage, looking at video. He is a dangerous hitter. And one of the better young power hitters in the game. That is a foul ball. And within inches of giving the Cubs a 2-0 lead. Broken bat.
Good pitch by Bauer. He went up, jammed him. You can see the ball just going foul, but he can elevate it even more against Schwarber, who's trying. You know he would love to get an RBI. He's trying to locate the ball there.
The knee that Schwarber injured in that game out in Arizona was the left knee. That's the back knee. The foundation for that powerful swing toward 2 ligaments. And we said, all right, be honest. When was this a reality or a possibility? And it's not until the Dodgers series when I got cleared by the doctor and then I went to work. So much so that he got blisters on his hands, taking as many swings as he did. Ball 1.
That pitch had effect. Even though it's a ball, you want to raise the level and raise the eye level against an aggressive hitter.
Struck him out. But the Cubs score first tonight. And that's been their magic formula this postseason. It's Rizzo, their big first baseman, bringing in Chris Bryant, making Cub fans happy. 1-0 after a half in Game 2. Take a look at the Cleveland lineup. They've got Carlos Santana back in the leadoff spot, the DH. He hit deeper in the lineup last night. Jason Kipnis, Francisco Lindor, then it's Napoli, Ramirez, Chisenhall in the middle, Coco Crisp, Tyler Naquin, and Roberto Perez, the bottom 3 for Terry Francona, who is 9-0 as a manager in the World Series. 8-0 with Boston between the 4-game sweep in 04 and 07 over St. Louis and Colorado. Carlos Santana leads it off against Jake Arrieta. And in at the knees on pitch number 1.
Well, there's one thing I could never do is pitch in this weather without sleeves. So mad props to Arrieta.
Santana's numbers 5 for 31 this postseason, 0 for 2 last night. Ball and a strike.
Well, for Jake Arrieta, 4-seam fastball, 2-seamer, everything moves. The cutter is the key for him. If he's got that cutter, he can throw it at any count. Back door, front door, and then the big curveball and slider.
That is to third for Bryant. 1 out. Our Geico pitcher profile for Jake Arrieta. It was 22-6 a year ago when he won the Cy Young. Here are his numbers this postseason.
Well, it's been a little bit of a confusing season because he was so dominant last year. His first 16 starts, 12-2, 2.10 ERA. The next 16, more normal or a little abnormal, 4.20. And so they're hoping they see that first guy that was starting what he finished last year in what was a Cy Young award-winning campaign. The only thing that leaves him, because his mechanics are so unorthodox, is the command will leave him from periods of time.
Here's Kipnis. Strike 1.
The difference in the fantastic year is it was short 6-pitch window. This year it can go 8, 10, and when it does that, then he's walking people and creating some stress for himself.
2 quick strikes, 95 from Arrieta. The second half of his season last year when he won the Cy Young, 12-1 with an ERA of 0.75 in 15 starts. And that rolled into the postseason. He had that wild card game against the Pirates in Pittsburgh through a complete game shutout. But since then in the postseason, he's gone 1-2 with an ERA over 5.8. Here's his 1-2 to Kipnis. Grew up a Cubs fan and he strikes out. 2 down. And now the defense for Chicago. It is Zobrist in left, Fowler in center, and Soler, one of the kids, 24 years old in right. And now Bryant, Russell, Baez, Rizzo, Contreras, 24 years old. 6 players in this starting lineup are 24 years old or younger. Talk about good news for the Chicago Cubs and their fans. This team is built to be good for a long time. Here's Lindor. That would include the DH. Tonight's starting lineup, Kyle Schwarber, to make 6, 24 and younger.
Well, look, they've hit on their draft choices. They've made trades and found some diamonds in the rough and produced. The position player health, a lot easier to predict than the pitcher's health. So they went with a core young players that are going to be together, and you would think stay healthy and put up good numbers and stay with the veteran presence on the mound. Pretty good formula.
How about the trade they made to get Arrieta? This is ball 3. I mean, it is in the category of a steal. Came with Pedro Strop for Scott Feldman and Steve Clevenger back in 2013. In the Orioles defense, he was a sub 500 pitcher in Baltimore. It has all changed in Chicago. 3-0. That's a 2-out walk and opens the door for Lindor to take off and do some running.
And this is what I was talking about. How short will the window be when he loses command? That was 4 pitches, not anywhere close to the strike zone against the wrong guy. That's the guy you circle the lineup card going, he can't get on. So now, similar to last night, 2 outs. Lindor got a hit, stole second. The Indians scored 2 runs. 3 outs in a postseason game is like getting 3 outs in Coors Field. It's not easy.
Not easy. Last night it was Lindor who took off and stole a base right out of the chute, and he gets a throw over pretty close. And with that, Lindor gets to claim the Taco Hero Trophy. Everyone in America gets a free Doritos Locos Taco on November 2nd. Steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell.
Well, you saw the one difference that last night was not able to see, and that's a pickoff throw. Jake will throw to first, but his move to home is slow. But the catcher he's throwing to tonight has a gun, hoping to close the gap.
You heard the report from Ken Rosenthal, and now 5 have missed in a row from Arrieta before the game. And it's not just the hot bat of Wilson Contreras that has him in the game. It's what's hanging off his right shoulder, that throwing arm. He can cannon it down to second base. And he has shown that ability already this postseason. Here's Napoli. 0 for 3 last night.
Jake, you got to be careful with that cutter or slider in the zone. Napoli loves that pitch.
Six in a row have missed. One of the best bargains in baseball, digging his way back in, and you know he's thinking about giving the Indians a lead. Hit 34 home runs and led the team with 101 RBIs. He can pound it. 2-0 pitch. Over the outside corner. 2-1, and Napoli didn't agree.
Well, if you're Napoli, you don't want to hit this one anyways. This is after throwing a bunch out of the zone. A little benefit of the call. Good job by Contreras pulling that glove in. That usually doesn't do as much as you think at home, convincing the umpire.
2-2. So now Arrieta trying to bounce back from the walk to Lindor, who's having fun with his former rival in high school, Javier Baez. And then a 2-0 count on Napoli. Now it's 2-2.
You see these guys. I would think you got to go here with 2-2 count if you're Lindor.
Not going.
Boy, he sure wanted to, though. You could tell that little stutter step. He was trying to time it. And now it doesn't matter on a 3-2 count.
He'll go.
He wanted to right about there, and he couldn't pull the trigger.
Napoli grounds it foul. So Lindor is getting his sprints in here in game 2. Travel day tomorrow, and then Friday it's Josh Tomlin and Kyle Hendricks, game 3 at Wrigley. The first World Series game there since 1945. Runner will go. 3-2 pitch. He walked it. And it's first and second with 2 out for Jose Ramirez.
This guy's been unbelievable. All he did was get well-timed hits. This one, the perfect swinging bunt. And then the more conventional ones. Squaring up a couple pitches. Single, then a double. Finds the gap.
300 hitter this year, and that's another one out of the strike zone, ball 1.
And see, that's the pitch I was talking about. And already a visit by the pitching coach, Bazio. I think the one thing for Jake Arrieta, when he gets in these funks, is trying to find the pitch to get him out of it. And that cutter usually was, when he was dominating last year, he'd go to that pitch anytime he wants. When the weather's like this, pitcher's feel just gets altered. You try to find any way you can to have a normal feel on the baseball. I know I never could. Even growing up in Michigan, you'd think I was prepared for these scenarios. No chance. Felt like I had a cue ball in my hand.
Ramirez hit .351 here at the Indians' home park this season. Postseason included. 3-hit game last night, as we showed you. 1-0 pitch. 2-0.
This guy thrived with 2 outs, runners in scoring position on the year.
Two and 1. Ramirez is 24. Born in the Dominican Republic, and as we told you last night, made a huge leap forward. Hit .219 last year, .312 this year. The 2-1. He checked it. 3-1. Lowest opponent's average with runners in scoring position. Arrieta. Tough to beat, but in a jam here. 3-1 pitch, 2 on, 2 out. In the air to center. Back is Fowler near the track and now on it to end the inning. As Ramirez gave this sold-out crowd a thrill, only to make the final out. 1-0 Chicago after 1. Contreras and Soler. followed by Russell. All four guys 24 or younger. Baez takes a strike.
This is one of the guys for Bauer. You can't make a mistake at belt high. This is one of the better high ball hitters the Cubs have in Baez.
He was the first guy that Joe Maddon mentioned when you asked him who are the good high ball hitters in your lineup tonight. He said Javier Baez. High heat, high breaking ball, he murders. One ball, one strike. RBI by Rizzo in the first. Whoa. That riding in about neck high. 2-1. No swing. 3-1.
So if a guy's a good high ball hitter, what do? You try to go a little bit higher than what he likes, because coming out of the hand to a high ball hitter, it looks really good. That's what I'm talking about. That one was almost similar to the one he took. And now what he's done is he's taken the count back into Bauer's favor. That right there is the old Baez. 3-1, very aggressive, not taking what the team's given you, and that was a walk.
Tough play. High chopper, base hit. And Baez is on as Ramirez could not make the barehanded grab. Probably didn't have time anyway to get the out.
Yeah, this ball had so much spin. When it gets to Ramirez, watch it take a left turn. He's going to try to gauge it. Takes a left turn. The spin takes it away from Ramirez.
And Baez trades a walk for a hit.
But that's the theme for me in the postseason. Earlier last night, a lot of defining counts that would have changed the inning, changed maybe the score, and a lot of counts went against the Cubs. Their aggressive 3-2 nature, of course, the excellence of Kluber. But when you're given an opportunity, if a pitcher doesn't have to throw a strike, what a luxury that is at this time of the year. You've got to make him throw strikes and earn what he's trying to accomplish.
Well, this guy at the plate has done nothing but hit. Went 1 for 2 after entering late last night. Wilson Contreras, who is 24 years old, a former third baseman in the minor leagues, learned how to catch after becoming a professional. He's now catching in this World Series Game 2. A great arm, but a red-hot bat. Ball 1 as he shows bunt. He's done that a lot this postseason.
Interesting at bat the first time he faced Kershaw. Took 3 of them. And then came back and had a good at bat and put a hit on him. So he's definitely going to show the pitcher that he wants to see what you got first time up, even if he gives away a pitch.
One-0. 92, strike 1. The Cubs in what turned into a long first inning for Trevor Bauer. Fouled off 12 pitches in the first. Baez on with an infield hit here in the second. A 1-ball, 1-strike count on Contreras. There goes a runner. Hit and run was on, and Contreras fouls it back.
Tough pitch to handle when the runner's going for Contreras. This pitch is way above his hands.
Now the count 1-2. Contreras Counts at ball 2. Good block by Roberto Perez.
See, that's the power breaking ball that he brings out later. The 78 miles an hour version versus the 74 that he's trying to just get a free strike or change the view of the eyes of the hitter. If he's able to pitch longer in this game, it tends to be his tendency to get better and better with that pitch. The curveball, the later the innings.
2-2. That's in the air to right center field and will slice to Chisenhall. 1-on, 1-out. And the batter will be Soler. Were you surprised to see Jorge Soler's name in the starting lineup tonight when he got to the ballpark for Joe Maddon?
I was a little bit, but since I've covered this team quite a bit this year, he has talked about Soler in the same fashion that he talked about him tonight. He believes he can run into him, even though he hasn't played a lot. He is a high ball hitter. It's just the timing of both him and Coughlin and even Almora Jr. They haven't played a lot in the last 30 days.
Doesn't have a hit this postseason. Doesn't have a hit since September 15th. Jorge Soler. Ball 1 in the dirt.
So what Joe Maddon is basically betting on is saying, look, I think this guy's strong enough. Yes, he's got a big, long swing. But what I think means running into one is a home run. He's looking for one swing that hits the gap or hits a homer because he's got that kind of power. It's an injury-plagued season and just never been in rhythm for Soler the last month and a half.
Had a really good postseason last year with the Cubs. 1-0. That's a strike. Had an average over 400, hit 3 home runs. The division series and in the LCS. Joe Maddon talked about how this team got down to the Dodgers. 2-1 out in Los Angeles. Bounced back from that. Lost last night. Trying to do it again. Here's a 1-1.
You know, hitters are no different than pitchers, and this is a guy that needs timings and reps because of his long swing and the mechanics of it. He's not going to be a guy with layoffs that could go back in and feel comfortable. Some guys just have better mechanics, have smoother swings. They can maybe take 20 days off and not miss a beat. Some pitchers can do that and throw strikes. Some cannot based on the mechanics, and he'd be one of those guys that needs his reps, in my opinion.
2-1, runner goes, and a high fly ball into center. Baez will have to get back. Naquin has it, 2 out. So they've sent Baez twice. One time a foul ball followed, this time an out into center, and Addison Russell will be the hitter.
One way to stay warm. That's the other thing. The 2 warmest people on the field are going to be the pitcher and the catcher. They got constant motion. The infielders, depending on how long the inning is, they stay out there and have to go back inside to get rhythm and feel warm and go to the plate and try to be locked in.
So Baez at first with 2 out now for Russell. That's down, ball 1. Addison went 0 for 4 last night, but rolled into this World Series hot from the back half of that NLCS against the Dodgers. And back-to-back 2-run home run games in games 4 and 5 in LA. Ball and a strike.
This is one of the matchups that doesn't favor Russell. He needs a mistake off of Bauer. He likes the ball down over the plate. He doesn't like the ball up. He will expand the zone down on a breaking ball. But Russell, after struggling, got going, as you mentioned, as did Rizzo, the latter part of the Dodger series. The leg kick and the ability to want to pull the ball, that gets Russell in trouble. If he can stay to that right field side, keep his shoulder in and not pull off the ball, he's got a chance to hit those mistakes, if they are any, from Bauer.
Back here, 2-2. Addison has hit 23 home runs total this season and driven in 99, regular and postseason combined. Just in case, with 2 strikes, they send Baez for the 3rd time. Javier stole 12 during the regular season, 2 for 2 this postseason. Number 9 hitter is up in a 2-2 count. Russell outside. Full count, and the runner at first, Baez, will go.
Great pitch and a better take.
Baez goes. Russell fouls it straight back on a 50 pitches is Trevor Bauer here in the 2nd.
Command the strike zone for the offense. So far the Cubs have expanded the strike zone. There's walks out there if you take them.
3-2. That's pretty well hit to right. Chisenhall back. He's got it to end the inning. That ball carried a long way off the bat of Addison Russell, but Bauer gets around the leadoff hit. We're in Cleveland, and the Cubs lead 1-0 after an inning and a half in Game 2. Words of wisdom from the great Satchel Paige as we move into the bottom of the 2nd inning. 1-0 Chicago. And the first pitch is a strike to Lonnie Chisenhall, with Coco Crisp and Tyler Naquin to follow. To the right side, Baez to his left. 1 out. Even the routine out, fun to watch. Javier Baez does everything with a flair. That's great when it all works. And so far this postseason, it has all worked for Javier.
What I've learned about him quickly is he'll make mistakes, but he doesn't repeat them. At least he hasn't. And that's all Joe Madden could ever ask for. You know, he doesn't have to say too much to his team, but when he didn't run out of ball earlier in the series in the postseason, the next time he was in that situation, he ran it out. Thought he had hit a homer, and the ball did not go out.
Coco Crisp has been around a long time. In fact, so long that he's playing in his 38th career postseason game. A guy who initially got to the big leagues with the Indians in '02, and then to Boston, Kansas City, Oakland, back to Cleveland this year, where he hit .208, a total of 13 home runs between the A's and the Indians. It's still a good base runner, good base stealer as he shows bunt, takes ball 2. And a good outfielder, a leader. Doesn't have a great arm. That would be the only real knock against Coco Crisp.
Yeah, he'll also, don't be fooled by his size, he'll cherry pick the fastball for his home run power. Not known for a ton of home runs, but he's hit 9 off of right-handers fastballs this year.
Always had those active fingers on the bat handle. Couldn't hit it any harder, but he hits it right at Baez. 2 out. And he'll grab his own bat and take it back to the bat rack. This ball was smoked, and there are those fingers bouncing on the bat as the pitch comes plateward.
Yeah, timing mechanism for him, and then he gets ready in position to hit, sets that hand, squares it up like you said.
So now it's Naquin, who hit 14 home runs in the big leagues. Never had hit more than 10 in any season, 5 years in the minors. But he had a good showing in the power department, his first real tour with Cleveland. Hit .296 so far this postseason, 3 for 16. 0-1 from Arrieta. 0-2.
Well, it's interesting in this game. It's a game of adjustments. I've always said it. He came in with a flair, had a walk-off inside the park home run, but lately teams have been powering the ball against him, meaning using a lot of fastballs. He has been hitting off speed, not hitting the fastball.
That fastball takes off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So once you expose a weakness, or the rumors, or basically the word gets around, when all the pitchers start attacking you the same way, you've got to do something to make them change.
Just got a piece. Naquin did not get the start last night. Right-handers will go back-to-back the next 2 games for Chicago. Chris Bosio, their pitching coach. So we'll see more of Naquin in 3 and 4 at Wrigley. Hendricks and Lackey. 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Normally catchers by this time in the season are worn out. But Wilson Contreras, the 24-year-old who's been sharing time back there, is a ball of energy. Fresh legs. And it's shown every time he's had a chance to play. That's inside a full count.
See, Jake went 2 straight fastballs, got the count 0-2, and then went off speed and worked himself back to a 3-2 situation. 4-seamer, top of the zone, let it go.
Got it. And he did it with heat. 94 miles per hour, second strikeout, Arrieta. 3rd inning, game 2. Cubs will bat with the top of their lineup up by 1. For the Chicago Cubs, and the man featured, Anthony Rizzo, as the RBI double came in the 1st inning. Drove home Chris Bryant, breaking ball in for a strike to Dexter Fowler, who is 0 for 5 in the World Series. Fowler, long time with the Rockies, with the Astros. Wanted to be a part of this, signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs, will be a free agent, and he will be highly sought after. If he does get out of this Cubs organization, they'll miss what he does as a leadoff man. Here's Kipnis. 1 out. It'll bring in Chris Bryant, who singled and scored a run. Hank Aaron Awards presented annually to the most outstanding offensive performers in the American and National Leagues. And that meant this year, David Ortiz in his final year professional baseball, the Red Sox, and Chris Bryant to the Cubs. Ortiz in his 20th and final season, 38 home runs, 127 RBIs, his .315, and the guy at the plate, Bryant, lines out to Lindor. 39 home runs, 102 driven in, and he's 1 for 2 tonight.
Well, Bauer got away with one strike in the zone with a curveball. Bryant has done a ton of damage. You can see his eyes light up, and too much topspin. That's a pitch he crushes.
Well, Anthony Rizzo was in a battle with Trevor Bauer, and he won that battle when he hit a line drive into right. It bounced off the wall and scored Chris Bryant all the way from first back in the 1st. Only run of the night so far. 2 out. Good curveball from Bauer, strike 1.
That's the pitch he never threw him when he got to 2 strikes in the 1st, and he tried to beat him inside, and Rizzo actually so good at getting his hands to the barrel of the ball, getting the barrel of the bat to the ball. When you're on top of the plate like that, you don't understand how hard it is on an inside pitch to keep it fair.
StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services. There it is again. Strike 2.
He throws it uphill, and then it has tremendous depth.
Rizzo has hit 2 postseason home runs this year. 34 total for the season. 1-2. 2-2. 0-2 to 3-2.
There's that uphill fastball. You can throw an uphill curveball and create spin, but you don't want to get stuck behind yourself when you're throwing the ball to home plate. Watch how it looks like that front shoulder goes up and then the ball just never has a chance.
That's up again, and that's one that got away. It was an 0-2 count, and Rizzo draws a walk. First walk handed out tonight by Trevor Bauer. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Walmart. This Halloween, save on candy, costumes, and more at Walmart. The inning will continue for Ben Zobrist, who had a long at bat. Ended up flying out to left his first time.
On the year, he's not typical aggressive hitter on the first pitch. I would be here if I'm Zobrist. At some point, you've got to pick out your spot. When the word is you don't like to swing early, that just seemed like a perfect spot right there with a pitcher primarily going to throw you a first pitch fastball after walking the previous hitter.
Here's the 0-1. And already Roberto Perez has been busy behind the plate. That bounced its way in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Indians in the bottom of this third will have Perez, the catcher, the number 9 man, then the DH Santana, then Kipnis. That's up the middle, a base hit. Rizzo will get to second and hold. And Zobrist has got 4 hits in this World Series in 6 at-bats.
He does such a nice job knowing his strengths. Loves the ball down, and he goes right back up the middle. And his rhythm seems to be more in tune than the rest of the Cubs in this lineup.
And I would say better than we saw him in the first 2 rounds of this postseason. So it's clicked here in the World Series for Zobrist, and that's big as he hits in that cleanup spot and gives protection to Anthony Rizzo, and now is batting in front of Kyle Schwarber, who struck out his first time, batting with 2 on 2 out.
And Kyle's got to find a way to get Bauer down. Anything he sees up, it's awfully tempting for him to want to attack it. But the ball and his swing path down over the middle of the strike zone, you hear a loud noise.
There it is up, and Schwarber lays off. Ball 1. Cubs struggled last night with runners in scoring position. But we're just diving in. Game 2, 3rd inning. Schwarber's long road back. He was quoted as saying that after all that he underwent, the surgery, the rehabilitation, the rush job to get his batting eye back, to get his hands back, he said he might cry before game 2. He said he came close, just having it hit him. All that he's been through, the injury in Arizona, and what he has had to endure to get back to this point. He's shown a good eye last night and tonight. He's up on the count here 3-0.
Well, they love him. I think Theo even had him in the draft room for the draft. They value him as a player, even though it looked like he was going to be out all year. Man, to come back for the World Series. Will Joe let him go on 3-0? I would.
He does, and a base hit. Here comes Rizzo. No throw to the plate. Schwarber's delivered 2-0. He's back.
Oh, to have this pitch back for Bauer. I'm sure he was assuming a little too much here that he might be taken, and Schwarber, who loves to hit, got one. And an RBI. And a scream. In Chicago, you could probably hear from here.
Every team wanted this guy, even while he was on the shelf after knee surgery, when Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer were answering the phones and making phone calls and trying to add to this team in season. The Cubs kept holding off, and anybody in this organization said, just wait till you see this guy Schwarber. And yeah, he hit 16 home runs last year and then had 5 in the postseason, but he has a chance to be a really special power hitter in the big leagues. Somehow he got himself ready for this, and he just doubled the lead and presents the RBI chance now for Baez.
Yeah, Baez, he definitely will be aggressive on the first pitch, you would think, especially after scoring a run. So that meeting on the mound was reminding Bauer of that and making the pitch he needs.
And he was aggressive, swung through it at 93, strike 1.
Well, Kent Merker, who I played with and now works on the other side, works with on behalf of Kyle Schwarber, was singing his praises well before I could even know his name, saying what a tremendous athlete, football player out of Indiana. He said this guy can do amazing things, and boy, was he right.
2 strikes on Baez as Bauer tries to get out of what looked like a harmless third. 2 out, nobody on, an 0-2 count on Rizzo, then a walk, a hit, and another by Schwarber. Chased it. Inning over. But Kyle Schwarber, who doubled last night, delivers on a 3-0 count with a base hit into right center. 2-0 Cubs into the bottom of the 3rd inning in Game 2. Nothing Chicago, and the lead was just doubled by Kyle Schwarber. A great story that we've been talking about ad nauseum, but it will continue. It's just remarkable what he's been able to do. And here in the 3rd inning for Cleveland, the number 9 man, Roberto Perez, who didn't hit like a number 9 man last night, leads it off and takes the ball outside from Jake Arrieta. Last night, Roberto Perez hit 2 home runs and drove home 4. Oh, by the way, caught a shutout. It was just a big night for number 55. Here's a 1-0. Up and in. We are honored to be joined by Kyle Hendricks, pictured right there at the end of the dugout here tonight. I know we're all looking forward at this point, but my gosh, you got to be proud of what you did in Game 6 of that NLCS. Congratulations on that big game.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, I got to say, getting those couple of runs early, facing a guy like Kershaw, you know that runs are going to be few and far between. So when we put up 3 pretty quick on him, that just opened up the game plan so much for me. That was really the key to the game, I think.
We'll continue to talk to Kyle here live during this 3rd inning as the count's gone to 2-1 from Arrieta. Perez, 3 balls and a strike. Crowd gets into it. 2-0 Chicago. Full count. So you pitch the clincher in Game 6, Kyle, and now you get the first World Series game at Wrigley Field in 71 years. That is special. Tell us what you're looking forward to 2 nights from tonight.
You're right. It is special. I'm just looking forward to the opportunity, honestly. Finding myself in that situation, who would ever thought as a kid you'd find yourself there? So I'm just going to go out, try and take full advantage of it. But again, just approach it as any other game. any other game in the regular season, you got to go out and try and execute pitches at the end of the day.
I almost believe you because your body language is so calm. I mean, for people like us up in the booth or fans or people watching you, it looks like your demeanor just doesn't change. It's remarkable. I'm sure you get a lot of comments about that.
I do. Thank you. That's just kind of been me. That's my personality, I think. I'm very laid back, so it comes naturally, not getting too fired up. But we got some Bulldogs on this team, Bulldogs on this staff, and I let them take care of that.
Is that the Southern California in you?
That's probably a little influence there, for sure.
Tell us what it feels like down in that dugout. You guys are down in this series 1-0. You've got Arrieta on the mound, and a great story and a great guy. Kyle Schwarber just doubled your lead to 2-0.
That was awesome to see right there. Yeah, we're feeling good. Everybody's loose in here, having fun like usual, like any other game. We've been putting together some really good at-bats tonight. That's been good to see, getting the pitch count up. And Jake's been doing what he has to do to get out. So, it's a battle here.
And he battles back to get a strikeout. His third of the night.
But no, we're loose. We're a fun-loving group. You know, that's how it always is all year long. So nothing's changed even after last night. Going up against a guy like Kluber, he was pretty nasty, spot on. You just got to tip your cap sometimes and move on.
Kyle, I know you faced the Dodgers after Lester. Now you're facing the Indians after Arrieta. Will you look at his game, or do you just focus on the way that you pitch and attack? Will you learn anything from how Arrieta is attacking the Indians?
I'll learn a little bit just from watching here in-game stuff, you know, kind of watching their at-bats, watching how aggressive they are maybe at certain times of the games. But for me, I have my routine, you know, I have my video work, my scouting work I'll do, and that's kind of consistent. That doesn't change.
Kyle, good luck. Get some rest if you can, and enjoy what is sure to be a crazy scene on Friday night at Wrigley Field.
I definitely will. Thank you, guys.
All right, he is a good one. He led the big leagues in ERA this year, and he was sensational, facing the minimum in his effort in Game 6 against the Dodgers. That's a foul ball right side. The count goes to 0-2 on Carlos Santana.
Well, Arrieta, you know, he gets away with pitches because he has such movement, but for him to get back to that level, when you see that cutter missed by 3 feet, that's what he's talking about when he says, I've lost the feel a little bit of that. Trying to get it back is not as easy as just throwing 1 or 2 of them. You got to locate and get it to the area that you intend to throw.
1-2. Santana had 2 walks in Game 1. He's had 6 straight seasons of 90 or more bases on balls. He's not your prototypical leadoff hitter, but he gets on base. And then you get the added bonus of 34 home runs on top of a guy who has an on-base percentage of .350 plus. That's a good package up there.
It is. He's not your, like you said, he's not your typical leadoff hitter, but they've been successful with him in that role.
Was 0-2, now it's 2-2. Arrieta will have to throw another to Santana. Here comes a 2-2. Check swing, full count.
Again, the cutter. So he's worked himself into some counts. After having favorable counts, and this is the Jake Arrieta that we have now. At some point, as the game goes on, he's hoping and the Cubs hoping that they can lock down the counts favorable for him.
That strike 3 as Santana gave up on it. And 3 consecutive strikeouts for Arrieta.
You can watch how much it moves. Catches the top tier of the strike zone. I'm going to show you later in the game why it's so difficult to hit off of Jake Arrieta, but it'll also show you why it's so difficult to command certain pitches, the way he throws across his body and the angle that he creates, especially against right-handers.
Here's Kipnis coming off what has been in many ways his best year in the big leagues. for a young man who's now in his late 20s. Grew up a Cubs fan in Northbrook, Illinois. Loved those teams with Sandberg and Mark Grace. There's a fly ball into left. Sosa. Kipnis is still looking for his first hit of this series against the team he grew up rooting for. 2-0 Cubs after 3. Chevrolet, World Series sponsor, official vehicle of Major League Baseball. Chevrolet has earned more 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. Learn more at Chevrolet.com. Bottom 3 in the lineup for Joe Maddon and the Cubs, leading 2-0. Contreras, Soler, and Addison Russell against the right-hander Trevor Bauer. Contreras flied to right his first time. Ball and a strike. Ken Rosenthal talked about it early. Miguel Montero had caught the previous 4 starts for Jake Arrieta tonight. Because of his bat, because of his throwing arm, it's Contreras. 2-1.
A better job for the Cubs tonight, controlling the strike zone, meaning hitting the ball in the strike zone and not expanding the strike zone, and therefore a lot of swings and misses and a lot of strikeouts that they had last night.
3-1, and you can see Zach McAllister getting ready for Terry Francona in case Bauer has some trouble here in the 4th.
You see the pitch count already, and Kluber was painting, and a lot of decisions that Kluber made were in 3-2, 2-2 counts that went his way. Last night, these are game changers, these are inning changers, and these are at-bat changers. 3-2, got the benefit of the call. 3-2, swing and a miss. Another great pitch. 3-2, strikeout. There were a lot of outs on 3-2. A pop-up, none bigger than the bases loaded 3-2 to David Ross. So when you talk about changes in a game, when you are aggressive or as a pitcher you make those perfect pitches, that changes how the flow of the game goes. And tonight the Cubs have done a better job.
Well, here's a foul ball off the bat of Wilson Contreras. Tom Verducci, they've been fouling off quite a few tonight.
Yeah, well, last night 15 strikeouts, no runs. Only the '68 Tigers against the great Bob Gibson did that in the World Series. Tonight, totally different story. Cubs extending at bats. That's foul ball number 15, the 9th with 2 strikes in this game. They managed only 12 foul balls against Corey Kluber all last night.
Kluber got into the 7th, and a leadoff walk will not help Bauer's cause here in the 4th. Second walk handed out by the right-hander. It'll bring in Soler. Jorge fly to center his first time up. He is now 0 for 19 since September 15th, the last time he got a hit, and when he did, it was against the Brewers when he hit his 12th home run of the season. But you can see just by looking at him, he is big, he's got power. A high strike starts the at bat.
So tonight in the abbreviated game, already a single, an out, and 2 walks on 3-2 counts for the Cubs, taking advantage of the inconsistency and not expanding the strike zone of Bauer.
Soler has to stagger out of there. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Look, and this is what you get with Bauer. He has made some adjustments over his career as a unorthodox style, if you will, coming out of college, and he can run into some walks as well. He strikes a high number out, but he walks a high number because of the way that he shot puts the ball at times. That front side starts tilting up, and there's no way for him to get on top.
2-1.
Of course, with Arizona, it did not work out. They tried to get him to adapt to certain things and unwillingly did not go as far as Arizona would like to, and they traded him to Cleveland. Cleveland said that he's made some adjustments. He's come closer to us, and we've made a lot of adjustments to him.
There's a strike to Soler, 2-2. Bauer may be pitching right here to stay in the game. Number 9 man Addison Russell on deck. McAllister in the bullpen. Outside, and yet another full count.
Much better pitch. Down, but away. Soler, even if he thought it was close enough, I don't think he would have done anything with it. So a good take.
Good swing by Soler. He'd like to have it back. Talk about Terry Francona's record as a manager in the World Series, 9-0 between the Boston Red Sox and now Cleveland. This is only the second time Francona has trailed in a World Series game. Trailed in 2007, Game 2 against Colorado. Red Sox won that game 2-1. 3-2.
Well, here's some of the things we were talking about in Arizona. It's an unorthodox way to get ready. He's got all these different type of, well, I call them rehab stuff, but this is what he needed. He needed a long time to get ready to start a game, and then threw the ball unlike any other starter all over the field. And then right before, he just lets it eat. And these are some of the things that Cleveland's made him adjust a little bit to.
Another 3-2 pitch to Soler. Right side. Kipnis. They get the lead man. Got them both. What a double play. Well done by Lindor in the middle.
Well, Soler, since his injury, still has not run really good out of the box. And that's the only way you can get Soler, because he's a lot faster than that, I believe, when healthy. But that's a dynamic young man right there at shortstop.
Good start by Kipnis with his bad left ankle that he hurt in the celebration at the end of Game 5 of the Toronto series. That ankle is getting better and better every day. He had to go to his left, spun through a strike. Lindor took care of the rest. And now Russell with the bases empty, 2 out. Gets a base hit into center. Just an easy swing by Addison Russell. And he hangs out a line drive into center field to keep the 4th inning alive. And that is all she wrote for Trevor Bauer. The pinky held up, the stitches held together, but Trevor will leave down 2-0, 1 on, 2 out. McAllister's been getting ready. We're only in the 4th inning of Game 2 of this World Series.
That if he stays and goes the other way and doesn't open up, is going to have a carryover effect, and I think it already has. Here's the fly out. He stays and doesn't pull his shoulder out, stays on the ball, and then when he comes back in this inning, I think that's a byproduct of feeling good about the previous at bat. Those things can carry over for hitters, and he did a nice job by getting a hit and staying up the middle.
AT&T called the bullpen. Zach McAllister comes out from behind the wall, and here is the right-hander. 53 games during the regular season. He's been in 1 game of this postseason. That was Game 3 of the ALCS in Toronto. See if the Cubs want to do any running here. Addison Russell on with 2 out and Fowler up. Strike 1.
Well, for Zach McAllister, you're going to see cutters at 88 miles an hour, fastball, good arm, 95. And he's going to have a slider with late break at around 80 to 81 miles an hour with downward break. And he will change speeds on it.
There's a night for Trevor Bauer. Got a big double play ball in this inning after the leadoff walk. responsible for the man on as McAllister steps off. Indians right now are in a position where they are expecting Addison Russell to do some running. Fowler up. Ramirez pulled in at third. Count 0-2. Dexter 0 for 6 in this World Series. Struck him out. And that sends game 2 into the bottom of the 4th inning. Big bats coming up. Lindor, Napoli, Ramirez comes up 2-0. Limited baseball contest. Only one will win tickets to every game of the 2017 World Series, and it's up to you to decide. Go to @T-Mobile on Twitter to view the entries and vote now by tweeting #UnlimitedBaseball and their hashtag. Francisco Lindor is the man behind the mask. Took a strike. And now grounds one foul. Strike 2.
For whatever reason on this year, which has been different for Jake Arrieta, of course last year, he couldn't find a bad statistic, I don't think. But the middle innings, 4, 5, and 6 have been a little rough. You see, he hasn't had much to do with anything other than the 2 walks, some high counts, but battled through to get some strikeouts.
Cleveland starter Trevor Bauer couldn't get through the 4th. The 0-2. Got him, tailing pitch. Boy, that ball had some movement. Strikeout number 5.
That's the 2-seamer right there that looks like it goes completely across the plate. You see the 2-seam grip? It's up, but it moves at such a rate. A little bit high, but you'd like to get those down just a little bit. Lindor knew as soon as it crossed the middle of the plate, he was in trouble.
With 1 out, nobody on, here's Mike Napoli, who drew a walk in the 1st inning. In that first 2 out, nobody on, back-to-back walks, and then Jose Ramirez for the Indians sent Fowler back to the track. That misses outside. The Cubs had scored a run in the 1st. They got a 2-out RBI hit from Schwarber in the 3rd, lead 2-zip. Took off, and somehow Contreras got up and grabbed it. 2-0.
Only 2 right-handers in the lineup for the Indians. You can understand it's very difficult to hit off of Jake Arrieta if you're a right-hander. He creates, as we talked about, such a different angle. He throws across his body. It looks like he's looking in the other dugout when a right-hander's at the plate.
Well framed by Contreras, and Napoli, a former catcher, says, I know that trick. 2-1.
I'm going to show you when we get a chance what that visual looks like as the hitter if you're facing Jake Arrieta.
Fly ball into center, easy for Fowler. John Smoltz, take it away.
So here's what it looks like if you're a right-hander at home when Jake Arrieta is facing you. We're going to stop at a couple different places. Where's he going? What's he looking at? Somebody in the stands? No, he's crossing his body, and then he creates an inability to see where the ball is and where it's coming from. That angle, and that just gives the right-hander such an impossible view, and couple that with the ball moves so much. Very difficult to track it if you're a right-handed hitter against Jake Arrieta.
That pitch is up to Jose Ramirez. As I said, flied to deep center his first time up. Had a 3-hit game last night. Terry Francona loves this guy, and so do these fans here in Cleveland. Two 2-0.
Think about what this team went through this year. The Indians, they started out kind of 500, 12-12, swept by Philly. Then they went on a nice little run. But who can forget, after the Cavaliers win the NBA championship, they win 14 in a row, and really that became the separator for Terry Francona and the Indians. And And they rode that emotion, this city's emotion, all the way to a league title.
That's inside 3-0.
14 in a row is no joke. That is a fun 2 weeks to be part of a team.
Arrieta. 3-1. Since the back-to-back walks, Arrieta has retired 9 straight. Until now. Let's take a look back for the Indians, who ended up winning 94 games. Second best record in the American League, and there's the 14-game win streak from mid-June to the 1st of July John talked about. Michael Brantley, you can argue, is their best player. He played in only 11 games. They lost Salazar in September. Andrew Miller added in season from the Yankees, been lights out, and the pitching good from front to middle to back end of this staff for Terry Francona. And there's some members who have enormous rings on their fingers. There's King James on the right, Jefferson on the left. Those rings are massive.
1995, I think 1/4 the size ring is what we got for winning in '95. But they did it in an incredible way. Down 3 games to 1. Came back, set this city on its ear.
They celebrated that last night. Then they won the game, by the way. Chisenhall gets under it and pops it up. Left side, Russell's got it, trapped, and has it to end the inning. Let's go to the 5th. Game 2. Cubs batting up 2. Back after this from your local Fox station. Let's get back to baseball, shall we? 5th inning rolls in of game number 2. 2-0. Bryant will lead it off, involved in the scoring back in the 1st. Singled with 1 out, scored on a double into right by Rizzo. McAllister finished off the top of the 4th with a strikeout and starts the 5th with strike 1.
I just thought Bryant has a unique style of hitting. He's a taller third baseman, but when he gets in his stance, more average height. He gets in that crouch, and then with the way that he swings the bat, crushes pitches in the middle of the zone.
That's down. 1 ball, 1 strike. McAllister able to hit 97. He's been itching to get into a game. Only 1 so far this postseason before tonight. Part of a good bullpen that gives a lot of different looks for Cleveland. That's a strike. Strike 2.
Firing BBs. See McAllister and his length and arm length. Time he gets in a little trouble, he'll fall off towards the first base, getting all his momentum and energy towards home.
Bryant just spoiled it.
Peter! Peter!
Bryant has accomplished something now, becoming the 4th player with 40 or more home runs, 40 or more doubles, 125 runs scored in a season before the age of 25 years old. And he has joined a list with Gehrig, Klein, and Pujols.
Pretty good list.
Yeah.
He's starting to time that fastball too. McAllister might want to think about throwing a wrinkle here soon.
He just did. And that's strikeout number 2. 1 out here in the 5th. This week, the NFL on Fox kicks off at a special time. The Redskins battle the Bengals live from London. And the Seahawks square off with the Saints in America's Game of the Week. Tom Brenneman, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews will bring you the Packers and the Falcons from Atlanta. It all begins Sunday at 9 Eastern Only on Fox.
I thought you were going to do it. I thought you were going to read the second line there. You just
the Detroit Lions take on the Houston Texans this week.
Wow, does that feel good?
The NFL and the red-hot Detroit Lions. And Matthew Stafford, who snatched a victory from defeat against the Redskins last week. Playing great. He's got them over 500 now.
The tease area. Teasing.
Here's a 1-0. And look out.
Wow.
My goodness, I can't even look down there, neither can Rizzo. Thank God nobody was hit with that. Rizzo just hung his head. That jars some players. Oh, he didn't want to look, and he's shaking his head. Nobody happier in this park that everybody's okay over there. Here's a 1-1. Down and in just a bit.
Well, it takes two things. You got to be big and strong and certainly not care if you get hit. When you stand that close to the plate, you're inviting the pitch in there. That's what you want. But you're also taking away the outside part of the plate where you can cover more. There's not much room in there, and he's banking on the pitcher to make a mistake.
It sails away, 3-1. On deck is the red hot now, Ben Zobrist, who won a ring last year with the Royals. Danger pitch coming to Rizzo. I'll give you a game summary. You're just joining us. After Rizzo does something here with 1 out. Full count. Indians have been playing in this ballpark since 1994. And they've actually taken seats out of the stadium. It's made it much more intimate. They put that big board out in left. That's one continuous screen. The biggest in baseball. 3-2.
You know how I can tell? It's the way my brain works. I think of how many buses can you park on that screen?
And your answer is? A lot.
150?
150 buses.
At least.
Really? I'm gonna take the under on it.
150. Be surprised.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Rizzo gets under it. Pops it foul. Back behind the plate. Perez out of room.
We talked about it yesterday, and the foul territory here much more lenient for the Indians, and the amount of foul balls that both clubs have hit. Well, after tonight, there's not going to be that luxury at Wrigley Field. Behind the catcher is shorter distance. Down the line, not much room.
Brian Shaw getting ready now that we're in the 5th. But one of the good right-handers down in the pen for Cleveland. That is down the line. Foul. And Rizzo's getting good swings here tonight.
You know what it's time for? A wrinkle.
Well, Bryant got a wrinkle and took a right. Went back to the dugout. You feel like Rizzo is timing up McAllister.
Yeah, he keeps wanting to go back in there, and I think it's a risky proposition.
Back in there again, another foul ball.
Typically, when you are given your best fastball in an area where you're not missing location and he's pulling it foul, you run the risk of not hitting that location and Rizzo doing some serious damage.
10th pitch of this at bat right here. And a walk. Rizzo on base for the third time tonight. He is locked in. And with Zobrist walking to the plate, our game summary sponsored by Bud Light. Anthony Rizzo with an RBI double in the first. Kyle Schwarber, welcome back, with an RBI single in the third. Jake Arrieta's gone 4. Trevor Bauer, the starter for the Indians, could not. McAllister took his spot in the top of the 4th. He works in the top of the 5th. 1 on, 1 out. Zobrist. Numbers getting better. His swing is getting better. 4 for 6 in this series. Ball 1.
Well, they keep saying it. Sounds like a broken record, but if somebody's trying to walk you and you don't let them, shame on you. And sometimes the heroes of a postseason may not be the highest average. It's taking what they're giving you, and getting walks in the postseason are huge. Passing it on to the next guy. Let him do his job. Rizzo's 3 really good at bats tonight.
Bats one into the corner. A rocket. Rizzo will dig for third. Chisenhall falls down. Here comes Rizzo. Zobrist to third. 3-0 Chicago. RBI triple for Ben Zobrist, the hottest hitter on either team. A bullet down into right.
That's what I'm talking about. Pass it on to the next guy, and that's exactly what Zobrist did. He took advantage. Rizzo got a great walk and got rewarded with a run scored.
So crisp coming off his bat, and then Chisenhall went down, and that allowed Rizzo to score from first. Francona comes to get the baseball. Cubs lead 3-0. Have a runner at third, 1 out. Shaw coming in. The Cubs behind Jake Arrieta lead at 3-0. A chance for more. Infield comes in. Schwarber comes up. Shaw delivers. Strike 1. This guy's got nasty stuff. Brian Shaw. Runner at third, 1 out. Schwarber trying to figure him out.
He throws across his body, a lot of cutters, sweeping sliders. In other words, he can spin a baseball with the best of them.
Schwarber didn't mean to, couldn't hold up. It's 0-2 in a blink. The Cubs 3, 4, 5 batters. A problem earlier this postseason. Each has a run scoring hit. That includes Schwarber, who had a 2-out RBI single his last time. Shaw. Schwarber laid off the pitch and did a good job to do that. 1-2. A walk and a triple. And a 3-run Cub lead here in the 5th. Schwarber with another base hit. Cubs up 4-0 here in the 5th inning, and Schwarber's knocked home 2. John, I know the Cubs have said they don't want Schwarber to play in the field. The DH falls into his lap here as he's worked his way back from the knee injury. But they've got a hole in the outfield when this series returns to Chicago. They're going to have a tough time not having his bat in this lineup.
It's going to be awfully tempting. I agree with you, and he is making a case. He is making a case for one of the most incredible stories in postseason memories.
Here's Baez, strike 1. Again, I defer to you. You're in the Hall of Fame. You played a long time in the big leagues, but this kid, who's in his 2nd year, had 5 plate appearances, had a terrible knee injury, tore 2 ligaments, and here he is. Good swing by Baez. Last night he doubles when a few Cub hitters could figure out Kluber. Almost hit the ball out of the park. And tonight his last 2 at-bats, RBI singles. It's remarkable.
It is remarkable. His IQ is remarkable, his athleticism is, but it's his heartbeat. Because the adrenaline just alone would kick in and get you more aggressive, trying to make something happen.
And trusting, John, trusting the knee. You know, I mean, it's his back knee. And we said to him before the game, do you think about it? Does it bother you? Does it hurt? Is it at least on your mind? He's like, no. What do you mean? No, I'm fine.
He must have been a good patient. He must have worked really hard, as you would imagine he would.
This one gets away, and down to second goes Schwarber. Let's go down to Tom Verducci. More on Kyle Schwarber.
Well, it is amazing, guys. They basically condensed an entire spring training into about 3 days, in which Kyle Schwarber tracked or hit against about 1,300 pitches in 3 days. Now, that's off of pitching machines. They brought in Class A pitchers. They also had coaches pitching to him. One of the coaches pitching to him is Larry Day. Larry Day is a coach in the Cleveland Indians system. It's an Indians coach getting Kyle Schwarber ready for this World Series against the Indians.
These are melded together teams out in Arizona. That's why. It's just shocking. He's at second. Schwarber 1 out, and Baez hits it off the end of the bat foul into right.
How about when he gets announced when they get home? If he thought this was tough, wait till he gets that announcement.
Yeah, you're talking about the emotional side where he said he almost cried. I would imagine it'll be tough to fight him back at Wrigley on Friday. What a scene that'll be. Ken Rosenthal, you have more.
I do, Joe. And you talked earlier about how a lot of teams have wanted to trade for Kyle Schwarber. But when the Cubs took him with the 4th pick of the 2014 draft, a number of rival executives were privately critical of them, believing the pick was a reach. They didn't think Schwarber could catch. They undervalued him. Well, obviously now they concede the mistake, even though his position, future, is still in question. One of those executives told me a year ago, the Cubs deserve all the credit in the world for realizing how special the bat could be.
Just a good young man on top of it all. Big strikeout there for Shaw. And now 2 out in the inning. An inning that started with a strikeout of Chris Bryant by Zach McAllister, and the batter will be Wilson Contreras with the Cubs up 4. And oh, by the way, the Indians still looking for their first hit. They have been handed 3 walks by Arrieta. Contreras 0 for 1 with a walk. Strike 1. Now Danny Salazar, who's had to work his way back into shape. Forearm muscle was strained, and he's finally going to get a taste of the postseason. The 0-1 to the right side. Kipnis, a juggle, and he's safe. Contreras hustling, beat it. And all that energy we talk about with Wilson Contreras, he didn't take anything for granted. And that's the first error by a Cleveland Indians fielder this postseason.
And you're right, he didn't take anything for granted. He was busting it down to first, and that little bobble without hesitation from the box allowed Contreras to keep the inning going. Just an in-between hop right there, and not being able to pick it up the very first time he missed it.
Now first and third with 2 down for Jorge Soler. Strike 1. Different mix tonight. Last night for Cleveland it was Kluber, then Andrew Miller, then their closer Cody Allen. Tonight, after a long night, by the way, last night for Andrew Miller, Trevor Bauer 3 2/3. They're already to Shaw. And this game is only in the 5th. They don't have Andrew Miller for much. 1 or 2 hitters, according to Terry Francona before the game, but available. The 1-1. Here's Contreras going down the line.
Well, there's the new style of the pants that go below the spikes. I always get a little nervous that that will be a cause of something, and you hope it doesn't. That's the new style, like it or not. I'm not going to comment.
3-1 now on Soler.
We were rocking the 2-in-1 bacon strip sanitary socks.
High knees, just a different look. Now they're baggy and over the ends of the shoes. First and third, 2 out, 3-1 pitch to Soler. A patient at bat that loads him up. The batter will be Addison Russell, the 9th place hitter who singled his last time up. Salazar still getting loose. On Friday night, it'll be the first World Series game at Wrigley Field since 1945. Game 3. Coverage starts with a pregame show on FS1 at 7 Eastern. Then Game 3 is on Fox at 7:30 Eastern, or watch it all live on Fox Sports Go. Josh Tomlin been so good this postseason against Kyle Hendricks, who we visited with earlier in the game and who was incredible in Game 6. Matched up against the Dodgers. Went 7 1/3, no runs on 2 hits. Now Jason Hayward takes over to run for Soler at first. Russell takes a ball, and they'll leave Hayward in to play right.
Russell, since flying out, you could just see a little bit more confidence, even in his takes. Those were pitches he was expanding the zone, trying to make something happen. You let the ball travel, you don't jump out at the pitcher. Easier said than done, especially in these big moments.
Cubs trying to take advantage of the error by Kipnis. RBIs in the inning by Zobrist and Schwarber. Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-0 pitch. He checked it on ball 3.
Those are nasty cutters on the outside part of the plate. That time he's trying to go in. Perez trying to get him more over the middle of the plate with a front door cutter.
What's he doing on 3-0? He's walking, and it's 5-0 Chicago in the 5th. An unearned run here in the 5th inning after the error. And a nice welcome back to the dugout for Schwarber, who's driven in 2 of the 5. Cubs trying to bust it open here in the 5th inning. Here's Fowler, 9th man to bat in the inning. Shaw catches the outside corner.
Well, as good as this is for the Cubs and the 3 runs, Arrieta's been waiting about 25 minutes. So whenever you wait that long, you know you're benefiting somehow, and the team's getting you some runs.
Late swing and a miss by Fowler, strike 2. Ball 1. Remember, the Cubs were shut out in games 2 and 3 in the NLCS and then busted out in game 4 for 10 runs. Tonight, after being shut out last night, Joe Maddon talked to him before the game, sensed no panic. Guys learned in that Dodgers series. They busted out for 5 tonight, and the inning is over. A big inning for Chicago, a 3-run fifth for Arrieta, who leads 5-0 in game 2. Cleveland had a former Cy Young Award winner go in game 1. The Cubs have their former Cy Young Award winner, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, in game 2. And like Kluber last night, Arrieta has been dominant, has not allowed a hit, has walked 3, and now leads 5-0. Bottom 3 in the lineup: Crisp, Naquin, and Roberto Perez. Crisp lined out his first time. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Better sign there for a 1-0 cutter. You still have to pitch. You got to stay as locked in as you can, even though that long layoff and the 5-run lead gives you some luxury. You don't want to give them any hope at all.
In the air to left. Back is Zobrist. 1 away. In-game box score brought to you by T-Mobile One. And nothing but zeros in that left column. The walks, 2 in the first inning, 1 in the 4th inning. That's it. Leadoff man is gone here in the 5th inning. Naquin will be the hitter. As far as not allowing a hit through 4 in World Series play, as Naquin takes a strike. The last time it's happened in the World Series, Randy Johnson in 2001, game 2 out in Arizona against the Yankees. Last time it happened in an AL park. Here's the 0-1 to Naquin. Strike 2. John Smoltz.
New York,
1996 game 1 at the Yankees, went 4 2/3 before a Wade Boggs double.
Wade Boggs, slap hitter.
Here's the 0-2 with 1 out, nobody on. Tyler Naquin takes the ball.
Only 54 buses can fit on that screen. So you win, sir. Under 150.
Yeah, CJ could not possibly be wrong with that math.
He's pretty smart.
I mean, great baseball analyst. Yeah, I mean, come on, 150 buses. It's a big board.
It is a big board.
Tyler Naquin waits for a 2-2 and strikes out. That's number 6 for Jake Arrieta.
So what, if you're a Cubs fan, and obviously if you're a teammate, this is what you're hoping for. This is a guy, along with John Lester and certainly Kyle Hendricks, they have shut down hitters all year. It is hard to get hits off these guys. The one Achilles heel is when they do get on base, then you can take advantage of it, as we've documented in the first 2 games. But his 4-seamer is as good as most people. His 2-seamer moves all over the place. Cutter, slider, curveball. Barely have enough fingers.
Roberto Perez. And he's just been wild enough that these Indians hitters have not been able to settle in on anything.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he has those moments, and he's done a fairly good job, exception of inning number 1, 2 walks.
That's out of play. A ball and a strike on Perez. Last night, Roberto hit the 2 home runs. He became the 5th catcher with 2 or more home runs in a World Series game. The other names on that list: Berra, Gene Tennis, Johnny Bench, and the late great Gary Carter. 1-1. 2-1.
I think the storyline's going to be, after this World Series is over, see, I told you so. That's how you use a bullpen if Cleveland wins. Or see, I told you so. You got to have studs in your rotation that carry you through the World Series, and then use your bullpen accordingly. One of those storylines is going to make its way to the winner's circle.
There's a 2-1. That's in the air to left. Back near the track, on it to end the inning. And no hits allowed. Yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
You ever been in a blimp?
I've not. No.
It's not on the bucket list?
No. Have you?
No, but it's kind of on my list. I don't know why.
Conditions would have to be ideal.
Yes.
Danny Salazar, the conditions are ideal for him to get into this postseason. He has been in the postseason in the past. He started the 2013 wild card game here against the Rays. He's got great stuff. 97, as you can see, and these Indians lost their number 2 and 3 starters in September. Salazar and Carlos Carrasco, who was lost with a broken hand.
He does have great stuff.
Bryant shoots one into center, and Nick went back to grab it. 1 out.
And you can see why the Cleveland Indians, for the most part, dominated their division. Their right-handed pitching took care of the Tigers' unbelievable offense, and then took down the defending champ Kansas City Royals. But they pitched their way. I mean, their starters have dynamic stuff, and now with the injuries, that's why a lot of people felt, well, once they lost 2/5 of their rotation, there's no possible way they're going to get it done. That's where the bullpen has come in. Terry Francona has managed it incredibly, but they've also had a perfect formula. They've only lost 1 game, so that gives everybody rest. The longer this series goes, the more tested that bullpen's going to be, even though in theory they've added another piece with Salazar, a former starter, coming out of the pen.
Bringing heat. And Schwarber heating up the lumber. He's in the hole 2 spots away. It's Rizzo now. Zobrist on deck, then Kyle, who's had a big night. Same for Zobrist. Same for Rizzo. He's been on base 3 times with 2 walks, an RBI double. He scored twice. That is a rocket. Hit right at Napoli. 2 out. Rizzo locked in here in game 2.
Yeah, he sure is. And the middle of the order has gotten on base 7 times. Even though this is a hang with him, as they say in the dugout, you're really impressed with the way he's tracking the ball. When you talk to a manager, they see the little things that give them encouragement moving forward in this series. And right now, Rizzo, and I can't say enough about Russell, making 1-click change, changing the approach in their at-bats, showcasing it tonight.
Zobrist has 2 hits tonight, 5 in this World Series, and 8 at bats. 7 rather, 5 for 7. 11 for 43 in the postseason. So the World Series, it has clicked for the veteran.
And for guys getting ready to start, you take notice. Like if I'm in Cleveland staff going to start the next game, I'm looking at how do I change the approach to make Rizzo uncomfortable, because the plan has not worked. He is more locked in. Yes, day off, maybe it affects him. Guys are built in, to repeat that stuff day in and day out, because you play baseball games a lot more often in the regular season. But you got to make that approach change. You got to get them a little uncomfortable.
It's 3-0 on Zobrist with Schwarber on deck. 4-pitch walk. Zobrist on base for the 3rd consecutive time. Six walks handed to the Cubs tonight by the Indians. And here are the 2 hits for Schwarber. 2-out RBI hit into right center field. His second time up tonight. And then a ground ball up the middle for an RBI single, and he scored a run in the 5th. Ball 1.
Velocity won't matter much to Schwarber. It's the location of the velocity. Up, has trouble. Down, you better duck, because that's where he likes it.
Down and in. 2-0. Salazar is 26, went 11-6 this year in 25 starts. Coming out of the bullpen, he has been a starter in the big leagues. He gets a chance here tonight. Was an all-star this year. Did not pitch in the game in San Diego. The 2-0. 3-0, and that's 7 straight that have missed from the right-hander. Keeping stats in the seats. The O-meter that you would see at Wrigley over the years.
Better make this a good one.
He's already swung once on 3-0 in this game. He's taken here, and he takes a walk back-to-back with 2 out. And now Schwarber's been on base 3 straight times. T-Mobile One in-game box score for Chicago. Bryant with that first inning hit scored a run. Rizzo drove him home. Zobrist 2 hits. Schwarber 2 hits and now a walk. Baez a hit, and Russell an RBI base hit that scored an unearned run on Brian Shaw in the 5th. Now to talk is pitching coach Mickey Callaway.
This is a part of what makes the Cubs tough and why they had such a huge run differential on the year. They walk a lot, they get on base, they hit a lot of home runs. We haven't seen the long ball per se yet, but is that walk number 7?
Walk number 7.
That's how they make life tough for pitchers. Just waiting to pounce on a mistake.
Baez 1 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Javier an infield base hit when he reached in the 2nd. Had a hit last night, trying to add to a 5-0 6th inning lead here in game 2. Lead runner is Zobrist. 0-2.
With the good stuff that's happened in the lineup tonight for the Cubs, and they've gotten rewarded with 5 runs. Baez expanding the zone just a little bit too much, getting a little aggressive. One of the things that Joe Maddon was worried about, moving him up in the order. Higher than high, lower than low. Those are the 2 areas that he can really expand the strike zone.
The 0-2 from Salazar. Tonight, Arrieta pitching like a reigning Cy Young Award winner. Coming off a loss in the NLCS out in Los Angeles, game 3 against the Dodgers. Tonight, outstanding. And it's Tomlin and Hendricks, Josh and Kyle on Friday at Wrigley. 2 on, 2 out, the 0-2.
Not your usual time in between innings. Jake trying to do whatever he can. There's been some long innings in between his time on the mound. As long as he keeps his short, he doesn't care really how much he spends in that dugout.
Baez gets time. Indians pitching had put up 18 straight scoreless innings through last night, going back to the ALCS, a shutout win over Toronto in Game 5. The Cubs got a run in the first, one in the third, three in the fifth. And have a chance with 2 on, 2 out here in the sixth.
They've created a lot of stress with 2 outs for the Indians.
Into center. Naquin is coming to get it. Inning over. Bottom of the 6th inning rolls in. Top of the order for Cleveland as they come to the plate. They trail in Game 2 by 5. Pitches, no hits allowed by Jake Arrieta. Carlos Santana first up. Strike 1. Santana, Kipnis, and Lindor against Arrieta, who leads by 5.
So far, Arrieta spent 35 minutes out on the mound doing his work and 85 minutes in the dugout. And what that means for the Indians, that's a long time on the field. When it's cold, they don't have a lot of time to come in and get warmed up and be in rhythm.
Strike 2. When Jake Arrieta throws strikes, he's as good as any #1 starter in the game. And he did get around the 2 walks in the first inning, the 2-out walk in the 4th. But his stuff is just electric. Here's the 0-2 to Santana. Wouldn't chase it.
And the difference is, it's interesting to hear an approach against him, right? You have to be prepared for something to hit because he starts everything pretty much in the middle of the plate. The problem is, for a hitter, you might only get that 1 pitch, but he will give you something to hit. So to your point, when he's throwing strikes, it's less of an opportunity for the hitters.
Breaking ball is grounded foul outside first.
So what I mean by starting things in the middle of the plate, most people, like we saw last night, Kluber never wanted to pitch over the middle of the plate because he's working the corners to get the perception that it's a ball, end up a strike. He wants Arrieta to start, because he has such great movement, the middle of the plate going in with his cutters or sliders, middle of the plate going away with his sinkers.
That's foul again. It's one of the better swings we've seen tonight by a Cleveland hitter against Arrieta, but pulled foul. Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, on the right. Fly ball into left, easy for Zobrist. 1 out in the 6th inning. Jake Arrieta is 30. Came to the big leagues with the Orioles, 63 starts, was 5 games under 500. Then the trade in July of 2013, absolute steal. A 22-6 year last year, won the Cy Young Award, won 18 games this year. Threw the only no-hitter in the big leagues this year at the Reds on April 21st. He's thrown 2 no-hitters as a Chicago Cub. One toward the end of last year against the Dodgers. He has yet to allow a hit tonight. Ball 1. Kipnis 0 for 2.
He has all the quadrants. I mean, that's what makes him so special. The quadrants I'm talking about: in, up, down, in, and away. He doesn't have to knock a batter off the plate to change his eye level or change his comfort level. He just uses different pitches to do it. That's how good they are.
There's a 1-1. That's a base hit, first of the night for the Indians. Hayward gets to it, gets it back in. It's a double.
Cutter location, missed it badly. Middle of the plate is what I was talking about. I'm talking to some of the hitters. You just got to be prepared for when he makes a mistake, make the most of it. Kipnis did that, and his hustle, even with the bad ankle, got him to second base. And in a weird way, this alleviates the pressure for Joe Maddon because he's up there in pitches already. I don't know if he would have given him a legitimate chance to pitch at 120 to 130, but nonetheless, sixth inning, 88 pitches.
You're talking about with regard to a no-hitter.
Yes.
That's
yes.
over. And we'll keep an eye on the Cubs bullpen. Pitch number 89 to Lindor. A strike after the double by Kipnis for Jason, his first hit of this World Series. And there's Bosio talking to the bullpen. The Cubs have Aroldis Chapman with a ton of rest on a night where you know Joe Maddon wants to get him into the game no matter what. With an off day tomorrow, game 3 on Friday. 1 ball, 1 strike on Lindor. Arrieta's 5 1/3 innings pitched without allowing a hit, the longest World Series no-hit bid since Jerry Koosman with the Mets in '69. Game 2 at Baltimore, he went 6. One to Lindor. Good pitch, strike 2.
His pitch, Lindor, kind of interesting. He's got a lot of high strikes. This one wasn't one of them, but this was a backdoor curveball. You can see where it ends up. But the top of the zone, he's actually made some mistakes to Lindor and gotten away with them for strikes.
One, 2. Mike Montgomery, the left-hander, is getting loose for the Cubs out in their pen. Cleveland trying to jump back in it, down by 5. Full count. Contreras sprints out to talk to Arrieta. Lindor tonight struck out his last time, walked his first time, was 3 for 4 last night. 300 hitter during the regular season, hit 15 home runs. The 3-2. Chop to the right side. Baez. 2 out. Over to third goes Kipnis. But now the Cubs are counting outs, and that's a big one with Lindor at the plate and the home run threat of Napoli coming up next.
It just keeps him guessing enough. Not the best of 3-2 pitches, but you're not sure as a hitter. Lindor just catches the top half of that ball. That's another hanging pitch over the middle of the plate. The spin is actually, as a hitter, you're anticipating that ball's supposed to break, and it actually spins and goes the other way, stays straight.
Runner at third, 2 out, Napoli. Ball 1 and a scoop by Contreras, and then down into a sliding position. He's like Tony Pena back there.
Yeah, this is a great stop. Jake's been known to throw some wild pitches, so as a catcher, you've got to be prepared when he's throwing a breaking ball to do whatever you can to smother it.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. This one gets away, and the Indians are on the board. 5-1. Goes down as a wild pitch.
I'm familiar with that. I threw a lot of them early. Runner on third, you're trying to make the best pitch you can, and he's just gotten away from his mechanics. See him pull that ball. That's supposed to be a sinker. He pulls it really bad. And when a catcher's expecting the ball to come the other way, you're not prepared for it to be what we call a crossfire.
A strike into Napoli to make it 2-1. So the Indians break through. A double by Kipnis went to third on the ground out by Lindor and scores in the wild pitch. That's a base hit to left, and the inning continues. Napoli's first knock of this World Series.
And the stuff has left Arrieta. He's been real good and crisp and late life on a lot of them, and he's feeling for some of those last pitches. You can tell losing the feel for it, and then Joe has seen enough. I'm probably sure of it.
And now we are sure of it. Mike Montgomery, the left-hander, is coming in. Arrieta didn't allow a hit through 5 1/3, is knocked out in the 6th, up by 4. Mike Montgomery, Arrieta goes 5 2/3 so far, 1 run on 2 hits. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, a wild pitch. Switch hitter Jose Ramirez takes a strike. This was a big addition in season from Seattle. Mike Montgomery, who Joe Maddon really believes. You can see he's been busy this postseason. Joe Maddon believes he will be a starter next year for Chicago.
Great arm, good curveball, good live fastball.
He fools the hitter, has to wait on it, and makes a good play to end the inning. The Indians are on the board. A run on 2 hits. Leave a man have stranded 4. Trail by 4 after 6. Back after this from your local Fox station. Coming to the plate, leading by 4 and dealing with another right-hander, Jeff Manship. From Bauer to McAllister to Shaw, Salazar went 1 inning, walked 2, but he's welcomed back to the active roster. Here's Manship. Deals a strike to Wilson Contreras. He'll be followed by Jason Hayward and Addison Russell. Cubs trying to even this series and make it a best of 5. With home field advantage shifting to Chicago with 3 to come in Chicago, 2 if necessary in Cleveland. Strike 2.
Well, he loves his curveball. Sinker at 92. Slider at 85. Tracked a game once where he threw 9 in a row. So he's not afraid to throw his breaking stuff, which nobody's been afraid to throw their breaking stuff to the Chicago Cubs all postseason.
2-2. Contreras tonight reached on an error, and that led to an unearned run. Scored against Brian Shaw, who went 2/3, allowed 1 hit. An unearned run. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And Salazar 1 inning, 2 walks. McAllister went 2/3, allowed 2 runs on 1 hit. The starter Trevor Bauer knocked out in the 4th inning, allowing 2 on 6 hits. Full count. Joe Maddon telling us before tonight's game that Wilson Contreras will catch the next 2. With Hendricks and Lackey. That's a walk after an 0-2 count. Leadoff man is on in the 7th. Experience every postseason moment with MLB.com at bat. #1 app for live baseball. It's the only place to get it all. Live radio feeds, video highlights, pitch tracking, StatCast, and much more. Download at bat today. Here's Hayward. It was 2 for 28 this postseason, and I'm sure itching to get in there and deliver something for Joe Maddon. Ball one.
You can only imagine he's handled everything from the outside looking in, obviously not in the clubhouse daily, but you can only imagine what he's trying to do and what the results are going for him. So he's handled everything with the expectation, the contract, and certainly the disappointment by not seeing your name in the lineup.
That's 6 straight that have missed from Manship.
It is so difficult as an athlete when you want to do what you want to do and go out there and play every day when you're not performing, for the manager to not put you in there. So for Jason Heyward, I still believe he's got to believe there's a moment in this postseason where he can make people and himself forget what has not led up to this point. A very subpar year for him. So you got to admire his attitude of at least handling it, because you know he gets asked. You know that the reporters have talked about it. And certainly when he's not in the lineup, that's the first thing they're going to ask him.
Here's a 2-0. There's a shot into center. Hard hit, but caught by Naquin. And I know it's not a hit, but that ball was squared up by Jason Heyward. And that bench happy to see that. 1 on, 1 out. Heyward in year 1 of an 8-year, $184 million deal, and that's the best contact he's made.
Absolutely. 2-0 pitch, and you know, some would say maybe even in a scenario taking too many pitches and getting himself into a 2-strike count, but right there unloading. Again, that translates to a feeling, even though it was an out, of a better feeling and a better approach making that kind of contact.
Addison Russell hits one. What a play! Safe as Kipnis could not make the catch. And Lindor flashing the leather, flipped it behind him, and Kipnis couldn't come up with it.
But another good at bat from Russell, all leading to that first at bat. Squares it up. Lindor with the backhand. And you could tell right there Kipnis was trying to not only catch it but get ready to turn 2. That ball was hit so hard. Tremendous athleticism from the shortstop position on both clubs.
It goes down as a fielder's choice, E4 on Kipnis. And that for Jason, his second error of this game. What a play by Lindor. And it's 2 on, 1 out as a result of the error. Ball 1 now to Fowler, who's 0 for 4 tonight, 0 for 8 in this series.
Yeah, they're winning despite Fowler not getting on base. The record when he gets on multiple times is absurd, and they would love to get him going for the rest of the series. Maybe in this at bat feel a little bit better about his approaches when he reaches twice. 58 and 16, including postseason. That's the best record in baseball, by the way.
Here comes a 2-0. That's left side, out of play. Right-hander Dan Otero is getting loose for Cleveland in their bullpen, with Manship struggling. Leadoff walk hurt him, then Heyward squared one up but line to center. Russell hit him hard, but Lindor kept it on the infield, went down as an error. 8 walks the Cubs have been handed here tonight by Cleveland.
Manship just really rushing with his front side, missing on the wrong side of the plate.
That's into right field, a base hit. They will hold the lead runner, Contreras. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Fowler on with his first hit of the World Series.
Trust me, he, as he points to his teammates, needed that at bat. Feel good to check in. A hanger. And he stays right there and smokes it. Actually hits it too hard to the right fielder, preventing a run from scoring.
The runner, Wilson Contreras, the lead man. Little hesitation. Gary Jones held him up. That'll be it for Manship. Otero coming in with the bases loaded, only one out. Chris Bryant coming up. By 4, have the bases loaded, one out, and Chris Bryant at the plate against Dan Otero. 5-1 game. Game 2. Cubs trying to even the series before an off day tomorrow. Otero, Bryant might be 2 to the plate, out to first, safe. And the third baseman Jose Ramirez had to make sure, didn't rush it at all. Got the lead man, 2 out in the inning. Goes down as a force out, 5-2. As Ramirez threw to the catcher Roberto Perez.
And it's the right play because Bryant runs pretty good for his size. That ball would have to be a bullet hit to Ramirez to be able to throw that ball to second for the conventional 5-4-3 double play.
Here's Rizzo now. Big night for Rizzo with an RBI double. 2 walks, 2 runs scored. Hit a scorcher to first his last time up, only time he's been retired. Bases loaded, 2 out. Ball 1. Carl Edwards Jr. getting loose at the bottom of the inning after the 7th inning stretch. 6, 7, 8 hitters. Chisenhall, Crisp, and Naquin. Rizzo's been locked in all night. Up on the count here, 2-0.
Otero loves to run the ball in, which you saw earlier to a right-handed hitter. And Bryant, that's what got him to ground the ball to third. Little different approach with a guy, a left-hander on top of the plate. Takes away that pitch.
Down on a knee is Rizzo unloading on that pitch, 2-1. So the great numbers for Otero out of the bullpen this year for Terry Francona. 6th pitcher of the night for Cleveland. Rizzo. Strike 2.
Rizzo just missing those last 2. Not much to it. 91, a little different arm angle, a little bit of a slider and changeup. Otero will throw in.
If Rizzo knocks in some runs here in the 7th inning in this spot,
They're doing it live for Jeter.
the drama left in this game may be,
Might be able to get him back.
if you get this game in before the rain hits Cleveland, because there is rain headed this way. This chilly night. If you go back to 2008, it was then Commissioner Bud Selig who basically said, we're not going to play any rain shortened games. We're going to play these games to their conclusion, which means you'd have to stick around. The bad news is tomorrow the forecast is not good here in Cleveland, and there's the rain that's headed our way here. 10:14 on the scoreboard clock. Remember, we started this game an hour earlier than originally scheduled. Rizzo into left. That ball will carry to Crisp, and the inning is over. Good job by Dan Otero to avoid any more damage. Time to stretch. DirecTV. Rajai Davis will come off the bench and bat for Lonnie Chisenhall to lead off the 7th inning against Mike Montgomery.
Good eye.
Fastball misses high, ball 1. Davis last night 1 for 5. Good curveball from Montgomery for strike 1.
He has such great feel for that. He does lose his command of his 2-seamer and 4-seamer at times, but that ball comes out of his hand. The breaking ball just looks comfortable.
That Davis fooled there. Strike 2. The Cubs have stranded 13 runners tonight. It left the bases loaded twice. What a job by Dan Otero to come in with the bases loaded 1 out. With Bryant up, Rizzo on deck, and get out of it. 1-2.
There's guys on the Indians, I'm sure, when the spring training started, could never envision being in the position they are. Some guys got hurt, some guys got suspended, changed the environment, players get a chance.
Left side, Bryant, that's a foul ball. Foul ball called by the third base umpire, Tony Randazzo.
Mike Montgomery being in Seattle, I can never think he would envision being with the Chicago Cubs and in the World Series.
That hit in front of the bag and was a foul ball. And the next hitter, Coco Crisp, is already digging in, and the home plate umpire whispers in Coco's ear, that was foul. The other guy's coming back to hit. Crisp thought it was a leadoff hit. Instead, it's a 1-2 count. And there's Crisp digging in. Got the bad news. So back to the plate, Davis with a 1-2 count. Montgomery finished off the 6th. And starts the 7th with a strikeout. Ken Rosenthal is with us, and to piggyback on what John Smoltz was saying, Kenny, Mike Montgomery was shocked when he got traded.
He sure was. He wasn't sure he wanted to be traded to the Cubs, and then when it happened, he had mixed emotions. And the reason for that, Joe, is that he was just starting to settle in as a major leaguer, finally establishing himself in Seattle. He learned about the trade when a teammate, Taijuan Walker, summoned him to the clubhouse, showed him a tweet reporting that it was happening. At first, Montgomery didn't believe it, but eventually he got the official news, and then another teammate, Nate Carnes, told him, "Monty, cool, we'll get to watch you in the postseason now."
And they've watched a lot of him. He's become the top left-handed option out of the bullpen, not named Aroldis Chapman for Joe Madden. Count 1 ball 1 strike on Coco Crisp.
Here's how Contreras entices his pitcher to get the ball down. Unorthodox, flexible, and trustworthy.
I said Tony Pena earlier, and
yeah,
that's what he used to do. One and one on Crisp with 1 out, nobody on.
He's got an excited pitcher ready to go and beating him to the punch, trying to slow him down just a tad.
Now the 1-1. Done a good job of keeping the ball down. 1 ball 2 strikes.
I mean, that's Rich Hill's curveball with a little bit more on it. That's how good it is. It's taking a lot of space and creating a lot of depth right at the last minute. Doesn't need to throw that pitch for strike. He gives the hitter illusion it's going to be a strike.
Boy, he looks good. 2 out. Just one of those deals that came along. Everybody was waiting for the big hitter from Theo Epstein, and was it going to be Andrew Miller? Was it going to be Aroldis Chapman? And oh, by the way, we just added a left-hander that has bounced around. Mike Montgomery's been with Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Seattle, now the Cubs. And for a guy with this kind of stuff, that tells you that he's got to get things together, and it looks like it's really rounding into shape here with Chicago.
Yeah, for some guys, you never know when it's going to click, and third time around, maybe the ability to repeat that delivery and then weapon of a curveball, but it boils down to the fastball.
Brandon Geyer off the bench to pinch hit for Naquin.
As a starter, you need that fastball a lot more than you do as a bullpen guy or a guy that comes out of the pen. So he's found a nice niche, but he will be a starter.
Brandon Geyer last night went 0 for 2. He got the start. Kansas City to Tampa Bay. Seattle. Now the Cubs. He has a chance to strike out the side here in the 7th inning.
That's just an awesome pitch. I mean, I'm just telling you, that is what you would call that. Some say the knuckle curveball, but he's got that index finger up, creating a torque and spin. Starting it over the mask of the catcher and breaking it down to his right or left shin guard.
When you think about the potential here with Montgomery as a starter for Chicago, they have Arrieta locked up for 1 more year. They have Jason Hamill, who hasn't been active in any of the rounds of the playoffs. He had a career high 15-win season with an ERA of 3.83 in 30 starts, and he's just hanging around. So an embarrassment of riches in the rotation for Chicago. Count now 2-2.
You could see those two were not agreeing. Contreras wanted something different, came out. Montgomery was committed on something else, so a little irritated just briefly.
With 2 out, Geyer lines one into center, a base hit. And the first to reach against Montgomery. It happens with 2 out in the 7th.
Just trying to read Contreras, thinking after seeing a couple curveballs, he had thrown really good sinkers away to finish off the right-handed hitter. I think that's what he wanted. But Montgomery looked like he wanted to go back to the curveball, felt better with that pitch. Look at Baez. It's in his own little playland.
Montgomery barking at himself as last night's hitting hero Roberto Perez steps in. 0 for 2 tonight. He sends Zobrist to the track in the 5th. Swinging it well. Fastball for ball 1. Struck out against Arrieta in the 3rd, fly to left in the 5th. Arrieta terrific tonight. Montgomery has picked him up. That's going to get away as Contreras pops up, and down to second is Geyer. And now a hit could mean a run, as we're only in the 7th inning.
I think this is the 5th meeting for Contreras and Montgomery. This has to do more with signs with the runner on second. I wouldn't be surprised after those 2 fastballs that he doesn't go to the curveball. That just seems to be a better feel for him in the command of the strike zone. Still irritated by a couple things, it appears.
Well, a home run threat on deck. Guy who hit 2 last night at the plate. Here comes a 2-0 pitch. This could get interesting here real fast. 3-0. How's this for Roberto Perez? Last night he caught a shutout and hit 2 home runs. These are the only 2 in World Series history to do that. Yogi Berra, World Series Game 7, 56, 1956, and Roberto last night. 3-1. That's a walk, and it's 2 on with 2 out. And Santana coming up. Santana, switch hitter, much more dangerous left-handed. And with that, Bosio will come out, but they would rather have the lefty on the mound with Santana coming up. They'll leave Edwards in the bullpen for the moment.
31 home runs, more dangerous against a right-hander as opposed to 6 versus a left-hander.
But with one swing of the bat, Carlos Santana could make this a one-run game.
One thing that Montgomery's got going for him is Carlos Santana does not particularly like a curveball from a left-hander, at least not average-wise.
Montgomery in a 7th inning jam, and Santana steps out. Santana was trying to lose one there, and on a changeup out in front.
What a great pitch. Taking fastball. If you're Santana, pulled the string for Montgomery.
Looked like he turned that ball over a little bit.
Yeah, he did. We've had a record amount of time called in this inning between catcher, pitcher, batter, coach.
Here's the 0-1. Strike 2.
Just try to bite a little bit more off with another one on 0-2. Go right back down towards his back foot. Get the decision right now.
Got it. Montgomery strikes out the side in the 7th inning, strands 2. Keeps the Chicago lead at 4 as we go to the 8th inning of game 2. I'm wearing his Cubs gear. Cubs lead at 5-1, 8th inning now. It'll be Zobrist first up against Otero, who did a good job last inning with the bases loaded, 1 out. Got Bryant on a force out at the plate, and then got Rizzo on a fly ball to left. Ajay Davis stays in the game. He's in center. 1 ball, 1 strike on Zobrist, who's been on base 3 straight times, and Brandon Geyer is in right.
It's been the 3-4-5 show for the Cubs. I mean, they have had and strung together some big at bats. Of course, Schwarber putting together 2 of those, a 3-0 single and then another single followed by a walk.
Zobrist, Lindor, 1 away. Part of the order tonight for the Cubs. Rizzo has a double for an RBI, 2 walks, 2 runs scored. Zobrist, who just grounded out, on base 3 times with an RBI triple, a run scored. As you mentioned, Schwarber with a 2-for-3 night as he digs in here with 2 singles, an RBI in the 3rd, an RBI in the 5th. A run scored, then a walk.
I mean, realistically, when you heard the news, you're going, okay, all right, maybe he could have 2 at bats that help change the series, and he's had way more than 2 at bats already. And as you mentioned, you know that the question's going to be asked and the temptation's going to be there for Joe to possibly play him in Chicago with the way he's come back and shown that he's almost in season ready.
This is a major threat from the left side, and the Cubs, you know, have in essence benched Jason Hayward. So they're trying to find. Tonight it was Soler. Last night it was Coughlin. We saw Almora in game 6 of the NLCS, and what I saw was, well, they don't want him to play in the outfield in case there's a collision, but That seems a little bit remote. Rain starts to fall a little bit as Schwarber fouls it back. And they're still talking about a home run that Schwarber hit last year in the division series that sat up on top of the scoreboard at Wrigley. He can launch. It looked like this. Against the left-hander Segrist of St. Louis, and it sat up there under the Budweiser sign.
You definitely got to elevate if you're going to get him out. They've tried. Otero just doesn't. That's not really in his game. He likes to sink it down. They've tried to get the ball up. See the glove.
2-2. That got him looking. 2 out in the 8th.
He thinks this is off. This is paint.
Boy, Otero's made some pitches. He's retired all 4 he's faced, and now will deal with Javier Baez. Baez has a hit. That was in his first at bat. Struck out twice since then. Flied out inside.
It's a better matchup for Baez. The way Otero tries to crowd the right-handers and run it in there.
Strike 1. Jason Kipnis will lead it off for the Indians in the bottom of this 8th inning. And right now, it looks like Montgomery's going to go back out there. They have had Edwards up. They do have right-handed bats coming up after Kipnis. Lindor. Low throw but out as Napoli gives him the stretch in a 1-2-3 top of the 8th inning. Cleveland coming up bottom half down by 4. Taco Bell, steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell. Rain starts to fall. Here are the 3 finalists for the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Contest. Only one will win tickets to every game of the 2017 World Series. It's up to you to decide. Go to @T-Mobile on Twitter to view the entries and vote now by tweeting #UnlimitedBaseball and then their hashtag. Kipnis first up. Back to work is Montgomery. Two quick strikes. Kipnis tonight a double. He scored the only run of the night for Cleveland on a wild pitch. That was against Arrieta back in the 6th. A strikeout starts the inning. With a travel day tomorrow, the off day, a look ahead to Friday. And a matchup of Josh Tomlin, the right-hander, and Kyle Hendricks, the right-hander. On the air on FS1 at 7 Eastern. Game time 7:30 Eastern. The first World Series game at Wrigley Field since after the end of World War II. Man, Cub fans are tired of hearing about that. 1908 and history and goats and all that stuff.
They're going to be ready.
Oh, they'll be ready. Lindor takes a ball, counts 2-0. How about 4 strikeouts for Mike Montgomery?
He's been good. The only time he's gotten in trouble is when he gets behind and then he doesn't search for the strike zone.
Tonight's starter for Cleveland, Trevor Bauer. Now Mike Montgomery's on the mound for the Cubs. They were on the same high school team in 2008, Hart High, Santa Clarita, just north of LA. Here's one to third. Bryant times it, gets a funny bounce, gets the out. 2 out. And we'll welcome you inside the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck. That's the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. And what have we seen so far here tonight?
Well, it's two opposite game plans that have been executed. Kluber, of course, in Cleveland did it yesterday as good as you can do it. And Arrieta stayed out of the sweet spot. The Cubs, for them to be successful, they have to work the count. They have to get walks. We haven't seen the home run. Maybe that comes at their home park, but it's the formula that's made them so good over 103 games, and we see it disappear, and then it comes back.
That's what they won this year, 103, lost 58. Best record in the game. I think for anybody's money, the best constructed team in Major League Baseball now and for years to come. Here's Napoli, the count 2-0 as Mike Montgomery is trying to turn in 2 1/3 big innings for his bullpen and team here in game 2.
And I just think Joe Maddon and Terry Francona can handle a series mentally with their teams better than most. And that's what it is. You've got shifts, teeter-totters, storylines change. Oh no, you lost the first game. I mean, we saw it in the previous series with the Dodgers. They were down 2-1. Here we go back to last year. The team can't hit. And then boom, boom, boom. They're in the World Series. So they don't panic, and their managers are the reason why they don't panic.
Napoli up on the count here, 2-1. 2-2. And Joe Maddon said, we fell behind in that NLCS. We came back. We were swept last year in the NLCS by the Mets. We learned from that. We were young then. We're still young. But the arrow pointing up. And right now the arrow is pointing back toward Wrigley Field with what the Cubs hope will be a 1-1 series.
Look, and they learned some stuff from last year. You learn things about players in this moments. Some better than you expected and some not so good when you see a player press or try too hard. This is a young team, a very mature young position player stars.
The count's 2-2 with 2 out, nobody on. And another visit to the mound by Contreras.
This will have to get fixed later, but right now they're having a hard time.
Ken Rosenthal is sitting on information about Kyle Schwarber. We'll try to get to him before too long. Ball 3. Full count. New supply baseballs for the home plate umpire Chris Guccione.
You can see Mike Montgomery, even though his fastball electric is not his favorite pitch, he's made some great changeups. There was a changeup 3-2, some great curveballs in these counts, an occasional 2-seamer.
Base is empty, 2 out. Napoli lines a base hit into center. 2 for his last 2. And on base for the 3rd time tonight. We'll see if Montgomery will face another hitter. The answer is no. With Jose Ramirez coming up, heat is coming out of the bullpen for Chicago. Chapman is named in a 5-1 game. That's why they got him. Aroldis Chapman, the crowning piece for the Chicago Cubs team, picked up in season from the Yankees. You see the numbers. He's been asked to do a lot. He's not a huge fan of coming in a spot like this, a guy on. He's had a tough time keeping inherited runners from scoring and getting more than 3 outs. But you know he'll be fired up. His first World Series pitch is about to be delivered to Jose Ramirez. One on, two out, 5-1 Chicago. Throw down to first, and Napoli gets back on ball one.
Yeah, most closers come in the game when they get their job done. They don't have to worry about sitting down because they're shaking hands. In this case, you'll have to sit down at least once.
Hey, you all right?
I came back and caught Wilson Contreras in the mask. Shook it off immediately, and you could hear the voice of Chris Guccione, the home plate umpire, said, "You okay? You all right?" He is.
Hey, you all right?
That was a square hit right in the middle of that mask. Here's a 1-1. Strike two, and it's foul tips like that that are basically driving somebody like David Ross into retirement. He's 39, he can still play, but concussions have been a problem, and that's where catchers get concussions. Happened to Mike Matheny, the Brewer, Cardinal, and San Francisco Giant catcher, and now Cardinal manager. Here's the 1-2 from Chapman. Ramirez getting pretty good swings. A 103 from the left-hander.
Ramirez just does an incredible job of really barreling up pitches from either side of the plate. I mean, normally you got basically 312, 311, doesn't matter.
Cubs bullpen showing it can bring some heat out of the pen. Last night it was Miller. A strikeout ends the inning. And after Montgomery, Chapman comes in and slams the door on the 8th. Ninth inning rolls in. Game 2. Cubs to the plate, up by 4. Set. They'll light that baby up tonight after the game is over and go to work. Kevin Burkhardt and the guys. Always fun to see what they have in store for the post-game show as game number 2 goes into the 9th inning. 7th pitcher of the night for the Indians, Mike Clevenger. Fly ball into right center field, back near the track. Davis to make the catch, and Wilson Contreras has an 0-for-3 night.
He definitely loves hitting a high fastball, though.
Here's Clevenger, his numbers during the regular season in 17 games. Ken Rosenthal, we were talking up here in the booth that it's going to be hard for the Cubs to keep Kyle Schwarber out of the lineup even without the DH. Give us more on that situation.
Well, Joe, it will be difficult, but he's been cleared to play. He's been cleared to hit. He's been cleared to run the bases. He has not been cleared to play the field. And for that to happen, the Cubs would have to go back to the doctors and get essentially a second clearance. No sure thing. Remember, Schwarber got hurt playing the outfield. You entertain a whole different variety of risks if you put him out there.
1 ball, 1 strike here on Hayward, yet a guy who can turn, run the bases, start and stop. Said it's absolutely, said last night he was looking to take extra bases. Running is no issue. I would think, this is the World Series, I would think if there's any chance of him being able to play in the field, the Cubs would have a tough time not having that bat in the lineup. Hayward, 2 balls, 2 strikes. It'll be a topic of conversation, no doubt, and something for the doctors to try and clear Kyle Schwarber.
Well, I'm not going to be surprised by anything ever again. I mean, I would.
Ever? Anything? Hayward strikes out, 2 down. And with the bases empty, the batter will be Addison Russell. Scott's Pitch, Hit, and Run is Major League Baseball's free skills competition for boys and girls 7 to 14. Sign up now to host a free competition in your local community at pitchhitrun.com.
I mean, seriously, it was never even a thought. And the fact that they talked about it, I said, oh, that's nice. You know, great feel-good story. Guys worked hard. No way is he going to DH. Shoot, I might be able to dunk again, turning 50 next year.
Oh, really? That's in at the knees. 2 quick strikes from Clevenger on Addison Russell.
It's an incredible. I mean, I just credit him for the hard work and just the mentality behind it. It's easy for someone else to say, "Oh yeah, I'd do that too." Good luck trying to get a hit.
And credit the Cubs staff for even making it a possibility.
I mean, that's such a gutsy move. There's going to be a million people saying, "Well, that was dumb," if he struck out 4 out of 5 times.
Russell sticks the bat out and floats one to Lindor, and the inning is over. Bottom of the 9th inning rolls in game 2. Aroldis Chapman back to the hill. Cubs trying to even this series at a game apiece. Just a little bit as we go into the bottom of the 9th inning. Rajai Davis first up, then Coco Crisp, then Brandon Guyer against Aroldis Chapman, who struck out Ramirez to end the 8th. Ball 1 up at 102.
Oh, what could have been, and this game started for the Cubs getting that run in the 1st inning some 4 hours ago, and hitting the wrong cutoff guy allowed the Cubs to get on the scoreboard with Bryant running 3rd. You and I both thought no chance maybe at the plate had the right cutoff man been hit, but Cubs haven't looked back after that 1st run. Really had a lot of chances to score more. Credit the Cleveland pitchers.
There's a strike. Meanwhile, it's been Arrieta. 5 2/3, 1 run, 2 hits. It took until the 6th inning for the Indians to get their first hit. Montgomery was terrific. 2 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. And now Chapman. Rajai Davis on 2-1. Chased it 2-2.
I just can only imagine. As a hitter, you tell yourself, stay down, stay down, stay down, but get started, get started, get started. And then the pitch is belt high or above, and you think you got a chance. And it's by you.
Davis 0 for 1. 0 for 2. 1 away in the 9th. And Chapman will deal with Coco Crisp. 0 for 3.
Well, 102. Both these guys were tandem with the Yankees. Traditional style. Chapman pretty much 1 inning at a time. Now Miller. They've been separated, competing here in the World Series. Miller can do a little bit more, as the Indians have used him unconventionally. Still a closer, by the way, but pitching him in different situations.
Strike 1 at 102 into Crisp. Pitch cast as always powered by MLB Advanced Media. Pitch cast gave you a look at that 102 pitch to end the at bat for Davis. Strike 2 on Crisp.
Oh, that's dirty pool right there. They threw him an 89-mile-an-hour slider after. That's not fair.
Crisp on 0-2. To the right side, Baez down on a knee. 2 out. Theo and Jed and Aroldis and Joe trying to send this series 1-1 back to Wrigley on Friday night. Here's Brandon Guyer, who singled in the 7th, his only at bat. Rain is all but stopped. Good swing by Guyer.
Well, at some point, these games is going to come down to a one-run. Somebody have to close the game out. So far, it's been a little bit of breathing room for both teams.
On Friday night, a matchup of Josh Tomlin, the right-hander, against Kyle Hendricks, who was lights out in Game 6 of the NLCS, and a big challenge for Josh Tomlin. Hendricks at home 10-3, including the postseason, with a 1.37 ERA. Kerry Wood on the right, John Cusack on the left. Trying to get their own video of the Cubs' first World Series win since 1945. Cleveland on Friday night trying to win a game started by somebody other than Kluber after getting a gem last night. But advantage in that game going in will be with the Cubs and Kyle Hendricks. Led the big leagues in ERA for the season. Here comes a 2-1 pitch to Geyer. 3-1.
Yeah, he may look timid and scared, but he's not. Hendricks, emotionless. He just has a quiet heartbeat, and he is a student of the game, and certainly had and has an unbelievable year.
That's a 2-out walk. And Game 2 continues for the number 9 hitter, Roberto Perez. Cleveland needs 2 more base runners to have a chance. And Roberto Perez, who drew a walk back in the 7th inning. That was against Montgomery. 0 for 2 against Arrieta. Trying to extend this game for Terry Francona, who is in danger of suffering his first loss as a manager in a World Series. Perez, runner goes, no throw.
Chapman, last minute, had to get out of the way, anticipating what was not going to happen, a throwdown, but you can't tell Contreras that. He wants to show off his gun anytime he can.
Fielder's indifference, no stolen base is given to Geyer. The pitch was a strike to Perez. The 0-1. That took every inch of Wilson Contreras to corral that.
That is
102.
I think he could catch a fly. I do.
In the reaction time of that,
With tweezers.
I mean, that pitch might have taken him back to the backstop. Here's a 1-1. Contreras wants to talk again.
Chapman doesn't want to.
Chapman's patting him on the shoulder like, okay, kid, get back there. I got it. Now Javier Baez comes in.
He had to come in a long ways. He's about 75 feet away.
He's way out in shallow right.
That's energy.
Now time called.
One more time called, and I think we set the all-time World Series record.
It's unofficial. Popped up right side. Rizzo will watch it go into the seats, and now Cleveland down to their final strike. With a count of 2-2. Officially, Javier Baez is 182 feet from home plate.
He's just having fun.
You know how Chapman wants to end this, with a punch out. You know what Roberto Perez wants to do, extend it and give these fans that have watched through a cold night here in Cleveland some hope. Chapman, ground ball to short. Addison Russell. The Cubs have evened the series. A 5-1 win in a 4-hour, 4-minute game. And Arrieta beats Bauer, and the Cubs beat the Indians.
It's going to be a good one next 3 days after the day off tomorrow.
Chapman goes an inning and a third, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Indians strand 8. The Cubs stranded 13 runners on tonight. But behind Jake Arrieta, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, they got the early lead. They added to it. And they've evened the series by splitting here in Cleveland. Friday night, Wrigley Field. Can't wait. Jake Arrieta wins his first game of this postseason and the second of his postseason career. And with that, we'll go down to Tom Verducci.
Thanks, Joe. Well, Kyle Schwarber, 2 days ago, you're playing in the Arizona Fall League. You have not seen Major League pitching in 200 days. Now you're in the World Series, 3 hits and 7 at-bats, 2 RBIs tonight. Can you please tell me how that's possible?
I mean, you live for this moment. This is the moment that you want to be in. This is the ultimate goal, the World Series, and win it all. So, you know, a lot of emotions are going into it. You know, obviously a lot of adrenaline. So you just try to put yourself in the best situation every at bat, and just go from there.
The offensive approach tonight, after getting shut out last night, the Cubs get 8 walks, 37 foul balls, 22 of those on 2-strike counts. How good was the approach tonight against Cleveland pitching?
It was great. You know, like we said, we ran into a really good pitcher yesterday, and today we just wanted to stay with our approach. We felt like we put in good at bats yesterday. We put in great at bats again today, and the results went in our favor.
Now, Kyle, on Friday night, Wrigley Field will host its first World Series game since 1945. Now, you know, National League rules, no DH. Will you be able to play the field? Do you expect to be in the starting lineup Friday night?
I don't know. You know, we're going to take it day by day and see where it takes us.
Kyle, do you feel like physically you'd be able to do it?
You know, I don't know. I haven't tried it. So, you know, I might try it out and see what happens, and we'll go from there.
We'll be watching. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Joe.
All right, thanks, Tom. He's a good kid. It's a great story, and he was right there front and center tonight for the Chicago Cubs as he came up with RBI hits in the 3rd and the 5th. Jake Arrieta gets postseason win number 3 in his career. He had 1 in the wild card game last year, 1 against St. Louis in the division series, was winless in the NLCS, winless this postseason. But the reaction from Murphy's bleachers in Chicago, where they are packed in, gotta be thrilled. The series is of 6-0. Chicago tonight, 5-1. To Wrigley we go. To Kevin Burkhardt and the guys, we take you now.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much.